Hello to all my dear followers. Today I welcome you to the first season of What If Naruto Was Forced to Marry Ino. Remember that if you want a second season, all you have to do is smash the like button and the comment box. Enjoy.
Chapter 1, The Council's Decision. People surrounded Sakura with a pile of gifts. All the girls present crowded around, asking Sakura to let them into the hospital to give them to Naruto, who was recovering on a hospital bed. A complicated mission had caused him to use up a large amount of chakra, so they had asked him to rest. As always, they had to keep an eye on him since a few days earlier, he had done everything he could to leave his room, infuriating Sakura. This anger only worsened his condition, as he suffered a severe headache from the colossal blow he had delivered for getting her into trouble with the hospital director, Lady Tsunade, Sakura's medical mentor, former Hokage, and Naruto's friend. Tsunade was chatting with Ino about Naruto. Ino was surprised that Naruto was now a jonin and had so much freedom, like traveling to other elemental countries, which worried Tsunade. Naruto's situation, along with the civilian council's complaints about finding a way for him to stay permanently in Konoha, only fueled the chaos. Ino knew about Naruto's situation, her face showed concern for the most boisterous blonde in Konoha. Tsunade, well, I have to go right now. I have a meeting in half an hour, and I'm eager to hear your proposals for Naruto to stay. I'd like you to spend some time with him, Ino. Ino seemed surprised by Tsunade's suggestion, but then Tsunade explained, it's just so he's better looked after. Sakura has too many duties today, and I don't want him to get tired and overexert himself. Ino nodded, yes, Lady Tsunade. At the hospital, Naruto woke up from a long nap. He got out of bed and looked around, surprised to see several bouquets of roses, chocolates, and cards with well wishes, unusual, since he didn't expect many people to send such gifts. Naruto saw someone open the door. A blonde girl with blue eyes walked in calmly. Ino, you're awake, Naruto. That's good news. Now your fans will finally stop bothering you. With a mocking giggle, Naruto knew what she was talking about. It had been a while since the girls of Konoha had started noticing him, which overwhelmed him because he wasn't very popular at the academy, but it turned out to be something normal in his life. Naruto, now I know how Sasuke felt. With a tired voice, Naruto, where's Sakura? Ino, she's busy with some paperwork, so Tsunade gave me the task of looking after you for the time being. You don't mind, do you? She gave a sweet smile, Naruto, well. Ino got irritated. What do you mean, well? Giving Naruto a bead of sweat, Naruto, no, nothing, don't bother me, Ino. Ino calmed down and asked him, by the way, Tsunade told me she was going to see the council. She's worried they might have plans that include you. You never know what to expect from them. Naruto thought about it and with a mischievous smile said, are you worried about me, Ino-chan? This made Ino blush. Ino, what do you think? I'm just letting you know. And what's with chan? Well, it's not that I dislike it, but it's not like we know each other or have talked that much. Naruto, don't worry about me, Ino. I think it'll just be something unimportant. After all, what would they want from me? Ino, always so carefree, Naruto. Well, I'll be going now. I have some things to do. I'll be back later. Oh, and just one more thing before I go, you can call me Ino-chan. It doesn't bother me. Turning her face away from him, she closed the door, which made Naruto a little strange, but then he smiled. Meanwhile, at the council meeting, Tsunade was talking with the clan leaders and the civilian council about Naruto Uzumaki. He was now the village hero, someone who had fought powerful enemies and had contact with other countries outside the village. It was of utmost importance to have him in Konoha. The concern was growing, and some rumors suggested that the Kazekage was trying to lure Naruto to Tsunade to marry his sister Temari, thus forging an alliance between the two villages. Marriages are often seen as a way to unite nations through this act of trust and strength, and with this, they could more than deserve the alliance. However, this wasn't the only reason. Kumogakure was also interested in the blonde-haired boy. The Raikage wanted Naruto to leave the village so he could have him. Since Naruto was one of the strongest shinobi, he wouldn't hesitate to send spies to see if he could cultivate feelings that would make him reconsider leaving the village, perhaps a romance with Samui, Karui, or others. It would look very bad if something like a romantic interest or something that could compromise him were to take root in that boy's mind. It would be terrible, especially since Naruto himself had been traveling from nation to nation without any compelling reason. The last thing he said was that he liked to travel because it reminded him of traveling with Jiraiya, the legendary Sannin, his former master who died in battle. Tsunade pondered the reasons given at the meeting. Right now, they could see what solution they could offer. The only way was to marry him off to someone from the village so he could stay permanently. Even if they wanted to marry him off to someone from Tsunade's clan, it would be difficult, since believing they wouldn't betray him would be complicated. Once the pact was made, given the village's less-than-stellar history with Naruto, all the suffering and trauma of the past could cause him to harbor resentment. They couldn't leave it to chance, they had to give Naruto what he needed, as it was essential, the Nara clan had declared. Nara clan, right now, Sasuke and Naruto are the pillars of our nation. We have to keep them here. We have Sasuke because of Naruto, and if Naruto leaves, I doubt he'd want to stay with us. It could be a double loss. The safest thing is to marry him off to someone from the village, which will be better for us. Tsunade looked at the council members and thought to herself, damn Kakashi for abandoning your post and making me come back. It was incredible that Tsunade had taken the mantle of Hokage, leader of the Hidden Leaf Village. Apparently, Kakashi had many reasons for leaving Konoha for an important personal mission, so it would be a few months before he returned. Tsunade took a breath. All right, she said, considering everyone's concerns, I believe it's necessary for Naruto to get married, but on one condition, that he inherit all the assets that were taken from him, such as the Uzumaki clan's lands, his family's money and jutsu, and their businesses. Everyone was shocked. The sum couldn't be higher, the properties and businesses were enormous. Practically all his family's money had been used to restore some food stalls, restaurants, houses, and other things. The clans and the civil council would have to contribute half their money to replace it. Tsunade became angry and slammed her hand on the table. Tsunade, that's right. If you want Naruto to stay, that's the condition. You accept it or you leave him. Everyone looked at each other. The Inuzuka clan took the opportunity to say something. Tsunade-sama, remember that he hasn't reached adulthood yet. Don't you think it's premature? The civilian council stood up. That can't be done. We don't have enough funds yet. Clan leader Ibuki Yamanaka looked at the civilian council in surprise and replied, what are you talking about? In these past months, we've managed to obtain more funds. In addition, the merchants and the deals with other nations have allowed us to be better off than before. I don't doubt that it will take time to collect the money, but it can be done. Clan leader Hayashi Hyuga looked at the new leader Yamanaka. He hadn't heard much about him, except that he managed to make the successor, INO Yamanaka, not want the position. Given that she was the clan leader's daughter, it was understandable that she would occupy it. But after his father's death, INO apparently didn't want to assume the responsibility, although there were still doubts about whether it was right to choose him. There were only rumors that he bribed most of them to get his position. The Aburame clan, the Inuzuka clan, the Akimichi clan, among others, accepted the proposal, and without further ado, it was decided on that condition, that he would receive all that and more if he married someone from the village. Very well, it's accepted. Now, Lady Tsunade, when will Naruto get married? And to whom? Everyone was interested in the blonde's answer, which made Tsunade think. Give him time. We won't send him on any more missions so he can see the marriage proposals, said the Aburame clan. This made Tsunade think twice, that blockhead is sure to complain about this. Tsunade, well, it's decided. Standing up from her chair, Tsunade, you can send your marriage proposal to Naruto. I'll let him know. End of chapter 2, the news. Good morning Naruto, how are you this morning? What's wrong? INO asked cheerfully. Naruto looked at her with an annoyed expression. Good morning, Ino. I woke up feeling fine, but... Ino looked at him curiously. But what? Naruto sighed in frustration. I don't like the hospital food. Ino rolled her eyes but forced a smile. Seriously, you don't like it? Well, this isn't a gourmet restaurant. The hospital does its best to provide healthy and nutritious food for its patients so they can recover faster, so don't complain. Ino, do you think it would be possible for you to bring me a nice bowl of ramen? I haven't eaten in hours and I'm already suffering from withdrawal. Ino looked at Naruto, confused. What are you talking about? It's only been a day. Can't you wait? She asked, looking at the blonde boy who was getting more and more depressed. Fine, I'll buy some ramen, but don't tell Sakura. You know how upset she can get if she finds out. Naruto jumped out of bed with joy and went to Ino. In an enthusiastic hug, he lifted her up and spun her around. Ino could only return the hug, thinking, oh, Naruto, you never change. Well, I guess it won't hurt to indulge one of his whims. Ino smiled at the boy's actions, assuming he was fully recovered. She said, put me down, Naruto, so I can go buy your ramen. This made Naruto stop, and with a blush, he said, thank you very much. The girl walked toward the door, waving goodbye to the boy. As she walked, she reached the hospital exit and saw Sakura arriving. Ino, good morning, Sakura. How are you? Sakura looked exhausted, so much so that she had dark circles under her eyes, but she replied somewhat listlessly, not very well, Ino. I just stayed up late reading the reports on the children who are in the ER. I was able to examine them all, and thanks to Lady Tsunade's efforts along with the medical team, we can be sure that they'll be discharged in a few weeks. The bad thing is that the children are discouraged, and we don't know how to help them. We've tried to make them laugh with jokes or play with them, but nothing works. It seems that many of them want to leave the hospital. Ino, like a certain blonde boy we know, laughing. Sakura was caught up in all the memories of Naruto leaving the hospital without anyone noticing, making Sakura angry. Sakura, that Naruto. Because of him, I get a lot of scolding from Lady Tsunade, although it's funny to see the face she makes because of him, laughing at the matter. By the way, how is he? I heard he's already improved. Do you think he'll be discharged today? Ino thought for a moment about her answer. Ino, yes, of course, I already see him better. Now we just have to wait for Lady Tsunade to see him to determine if he'll be discharged today. You know how he is, always so dramatic. Today, for example, he asked me to buy him ramen. I suppose that's the only way he'll calm down a little. Sakura, wait, Ino, you're going to buy ramen. You know he needs to eat better. Eating that junk won't do him any good. Ino looked at her mockingly. Ino, what are you saying, Sakura? I've seen you eat ramen a couple of times. Sakura swallowed hard. She thought no one would notice her biggest secret. She'd heard so much about Naruto's love of food that she decided to try it herself and started eating it at least a couple of times a week. Sakura, well, that's different. Besides, I only do it sometimes. Naruto eats it every day, so it's bad for him. And I'm going now, I have a lot of work to do. Sakura left for the hospital, blushing with embarrassment, showing her guilt and shame at being caught. Meanwhile, Ino was walking through the Konoha food stalls until she reached one in particular, Ichiraku Ramen. The blonde went inside, watching a brunette serving the customers. Good morning, my name is Iam. What can I get you? Ino thought for a moment and said, do you know Naruto Uzumaki? Iam nodded. Yes, we know him, she replied. A voice interrupted her. Tucci said, that's right, Naruto Uzumaki, my best customer. Are you here on his behalf? If so, you'll receive a discount. Ino thanked him and said, I need a bowl of ramen for him. He asked me to bring it since he's currently in the hospital. Iam was surprised by the news. Was Naruto-kun seriously ill? Something that made Tsuchi cry inside. Ino reassured the pair. She could see the worry on their faces and didn't want them to feel bad. Ino, don't worry, he's fine, he's just exhausted. He might be discharged any minute now. Tsuchi, that's good to know, he could breathe again. Tsuchi, alright then, I'll make some ramen to go, just the way Naruto likes it, my best customer. I am, okay, wait here. Smiling, Ino appreciated their attention. Minutes later, she had Naruto's precious treat. Thinking about what she saw, Ino could understand how much he liked it. Ino, I didn't know this was common for him, but I guess it's good to know he has something he likes. I wonder what it tastes like. Ino was rummaging in the bag when a voice interrupted her, making her tremble. Ino, no, I'm not doing anything, huh? The voice I heard was that of a familiar dark-haired woman. Hinata. Hinata, good morning, Ino. Where are you going? Ino, I'm heading to the hospital. Hinata, are you by any chance going to see Naruto? Ino, yes, I'm coming from Ichiraku for an errand Naruto asked me to run. Hinata, I see. And how is he? Ino, he's fine, although he's throwing his usual tantrums, with a giggle. I think you won't get bored when you're with him, but why don't you go visit him, Hinata? Hinata, no, I don't think I'll be able to. Looking down, Hinata smiled in a forced way, leaving Ino confused. Hinata, I think I'll go. I have to see my team. See you later. Ino watched Hinata leave and said goodbye as well, leaving the matter behind. Meanwhile, Naruto was in the hospital corridors. Having to wait was very hard for him, especially since it was his #1 favorite food. He decided to walk towards the exit and see if he could find her there. Naruto, maybe he's taking a while because he's talking to someone, knowing Ino, he'd be chatting about the latest gossip of the day. He walked and walked until a head of pink hair stopped him. It was Sakura, who realized what the most boisterous blonde in Konoha wanted to do, or thought he was going to do. Sakura, not again, Naruto. Stop leaving your room. You'll get me in trouble again. Naruto, no, Sakura-chan, I was just waiting for someone. The pink-haired girl looked at the excuse incredulously. Sakura, come on, let's go. I need Lady Tsunade to evaluate you so she can discharge you. Naruto, really, Sakura-chan? Can I leave the hospital now? Sakura, yes, Naruto, you can go now, but keep in mind that you have to take better care of yourself now, okay? Naruto, yes, Sakura-chan, don't worry, I'll be more careful on missions. Sakura smiled at Naruto's attitude. Alright, let's go. She's waiting for you. Naruto walked with her through the hallways until they reached an office where Tsunade resided. He opened the door next to Sakura, while Tsunade watched them enter. Naruto, hey, old lady Tsunade. Tsunade, Naruto, stop saying that. Show some respect to your superiors, you damn brat. Sakura sighed at her teammate's attitude, sometimes Naruto could be so dense. Sakura, Naruto, show some respect to Lady Tsunade. The boy looked at Tsunade with a carefree and happy expression. Tsunade, Sakura, you may leave, please. I need to check on Naruto. She stood up from her seat. Sakura, but Lady Tsunade, I thought I. Tsunade, Sakura, it's something I need to do alone. Besides, I need to discuss a matter with Naruto. Sakura accepted the order and left. Tsunade sat down and invited Naruto to sit as well. The tension in the air was palpable. Naruto, is something wrong? The boy looked at her worriedly. Seeing the woman like this was no laughing matter, something had happened, and he sensed it was very serious. Breaking the silence of the room, he said, Tsunade, your tests are fine. You only had chakra exhaustion, and your wounds healed quickly. Medically, there's no problem. In fact, you can leave now. Naruto was relieved. So everything is alright, but why does she have that old face, Tsunade? The woman took a deep breath to stop herself from killing the hyperactive boy right then and there. Tsunade, Naruto, you know your parents' story, right? Naruto, yes, that's right. I know about the Uzumaki clan, about my father Minato, who was the fourth Hokage, and more. But what's this about? Tsunade saw her opportunity. Tsunade, you see, Naruto, a long time ago it was decided that all your family's assets would be confiscated and stored until you came of age. This was a security measure, since no one was supposed to find out that you were the son of the fourth Hokage and your mother, the former wielder of Kurama. That's how it was until today. Speak with the council so that you will inherit everything that corresponds to you as the sole heir. You will be given a large sum of money, properties in Konoha, and all the land that would belong to the Uzumaki clan. With this, if you wish, you can restore your clan or use it as you wish. Naruto jumped for joy. Naruto, that's great. That's wonderful, old lady Tsunade. Although I still don't understand much, but if that's the case, it would be fantastic. Tsunade, not only that, Naruto, it's possible that you'll also receive your father's and mother's jutsus, as well as the Namikaze's surname officially. Naruto was speechless with amazement. Naruto, really? What else are they going to give me? This is incredible. But on one condition, the woman interrupted. Tsunade, there's something you must do first. Naruto looked at her attentively and excitedly. What is it? What is it? Tsunade, you must get married. End of chapter 3, The Proposal. Naruto was impressed by what he heard. He didn't know what to do in the situation he was in. He looked around, wondering if they were playing a joke on him, but they weren't. The image he saw, of Tsunade sitting calmly looking at him, didn't give him much hope. While these thoughts swirled in his head, Lady Tsunade remained calm, waiting for the shock of the news to pass. But despite the time she gave him, nothing happened, only one response was heard from him. Naruto, Lady Tsunade, this is a joke, right? Naruto said these words fearing what she would say. However, Lady Tsunade's response was like a bucket of cold water. Tsunade, finally, you deign to respect me, brat, but that won't be enough, because yes, I'm serious. Naruto was nervous and said the first thing that came to mind. Naruto, don't you know what you're saying, old Tsunade? Me getting married? I'm so young, what would I do married? Tsunade took a deep breath and calmly said, Tsunade, tell me, would it be wrong for you to get married? Naruto, no, but how could it be? I don't have anyone to marry. Besides, why now? And just to inherit my parents' things, I don't understand, old lady Tsunade, he replied in protest. Tsunade found herself caught up in many thoughts, one of which was whether to tell him the truth about his unexpected problem. Right now, the council didn't trust Naruto, so before telling him the truth, she needed to know something. So Tsunade asked, tell me, Naruto, why do you always ask for missions to go to foreign villages? The boy was lost in thought but answered simply and calmly, because it reminds me of the trips I used to take with that perverted sage. The woman found this interesting, so she decided to continue the conversation. Tsunade, tell me, aren't you interested in other villages? She left the question open to listen to Naruto's answer, giving him time to reply and time for her to think, since this was one of the things she was most interested in knowing. Naruto, what do you mean, old lady Tsunade? Naruto's reaction to saying this was that of a confused person. This reaction made the woman let the question go so as not to suspect her intentions with the boy, which was to extract information from him. Resuming the conversation, Lady Tsunade decided to continue. Tsunade, well, Naruto, this is a condition the council has set for you to inherit everything. I know it's annoying to be in your shoes, but I think it would be good for you to have a woman by your side, don't you think? Naruto knew this was wrong and reacted strongly. Naruto, I don't want to do it. Why would I get married? To inherit my father's things. Besides, I wouldn't know who to marry. And what a stupid rule. Do all young people have to get married to inherit their parents' things? It's ridiculous. I'll speak to the council myself and make them change their minds. As the future Hokage of Konoha, I won't allow them to do this. Standing up, Naruto headed for the door, but was interrupted by the woman's words. In an authoritarian tone, she ordered him to sit. Naruto looked at the woman and returned to his seat. Tsunade placed both hands on the desk, pondering the option that would at least bring her and the boy some peace. If it worked, she could deceive the elders and help Naruto solve the problem, but she wasn't sure if he would agree. Without further ado, Tsunade spoke. Do you think you could have a fake marriage? This question resonated with Naruto. Naruto, what? The boy was confused, unsure of what she meant. Waiting for her explanation, he listened attentively to Lady Tsunade's words. Naruto, that's right, Naruto, a fake marriage. Do you think you could? The boy remained thoughtful. Naruto, are you saying, Grandma, a pretend marriage? Tsunade, yes, that's what I said. Do you think you can? It's simple. We can arrange for someone from the village to take your wife's place until all your belongings are returned. And once the mission is complete, you divorce. Of course, this has to remain a secret. Everyone must believe that you love your wife and that your relationship with her is genuine. Tell me, would you accept a fake marriage? The boy stiffened, thinking that if that were even possible, who in their right mind would do it? Besides, he wasn't complaining, but wasn't marriage something important enough to be treated like that? Wait, Naruto began, speaking, but isn't there another option? Besides, what are you talking about, old Tsunade? I barely have any friends. Who would take on this mission? He asked uncertainly. Tsunade, we could hire an ANBU girl, or well, if you want, you can choose, and then I'll talk to her. Naruto screamed, what? Wait, this is going too fast. I don't even know if this will work. Wouldn't it be easier to talk to the clan council? Maybe they can support us. The woman shook her head. Tsunade, the truth is, I just had a meeting with them, and the vote has already been taken. You have a week to find a wife so that the wedding preparations and other details can be finalized. The boy couldn't believe it. Did they really want to force him into marriage? It was truly surprising, but something didn't add up, so he decided to bring it up. Naruto, why all the fuss about getting married so quickly, Grandma? The woman saw a hint of shrewdness in the young man. She knew it would be a bit complicated, but she thought his absent-minded nature would make it easier. She quickly looked for an excuse to stop him from asking more questions. Tsunade, actually, everyone wants you to get married because they need you to have heirs. The truth is, most of them are worried because you're the last Uzumaki. With you, the last line of your clan would be lost. It's something that, if it happens, Konoha will possibly lose its best asset. Besides, I could arrange for it to be with several girls if you wish. If you want a real marriage, even better, but if not, we could have a sham marriage so you inherit everything and see for yourself what you want. To be honest, Naruto, since Jiraiya left, I've taken on the responsibility of looking after you. So, if your wish is to leave Konoha or stay, I'll understand. The best thing I can do for you is to take care of you. The boy was touched by the woman's words. Naruto, thank you. I know that since my master, the pervy sage, died, you've suffered too. It's something all of us who knew him have to bear. Okay, Grandma, I accept the sham marriage. I think it's my best option for now. The decision he made brought a smile to the woman's face. She was pleased by the boy's words. Tsunade, very well, Naruto, don't worry. We'll see who the right girl for this might be. I'll show you the candidates later. Naruto was satisfied, at least they would deal with the problem later, because he was already very nervous about how this would end. He sighed in relief, seeing that there was no rush, or so he thought. Naruto, although I hope they're not upset with me. It would be sad to break hearts. With a smile, Tsunade, as if you're so lucky, brat. Just because you're famous now doesn't mean you should get a big head. With a chuckle, Naruto said goodbye. Naruto, see you later. Tsunade, Naruto, wait. She called one last time, Tsunade, I need to tell you one last thing. In light of this, you won't be given any more missions so we can choose your wife. Also, you have to go out with her so the village can get an idea of your relationship, okay? Naruto, no more. I quickly looked for an excuse to stop him from asking more questions. Tsunade, actually, everyone wants you to get married because they need you to have heirs. The truth is, most are worried because you're the last Uzumaki. With you, the last line of your clan would be lost. If that happens, Konoha might lose its best asset. Besides, I could arrange for you to marry several girls if you wish. If you want a real marriage, even better, but if not, we could have a fake marriage so you inherit everything and see for yourself what you want. To be honest, Naruto, since Jiraiya left, I've taken on the responsibility of looking after you. So, if your wish is to leave Konoha or stay, I'll understand. The best thing I can do for you is take care of you. The boy was touched by the woman's words. Naruto, thank you. I know that since my master, the pervy sage, died, you've suffered too. It's something we all have to bear, all of us who knew him. Okay, Grandma, I accept the fake marriage. I think it's my best option for now. The decision he made brought a smile to the woman's face. She was pleased by the boy's words. Tsunade, very well, Naruto, don't worry. We'll see who the right girl for this might be. I'll show you the candidates later. Naruto was satisfied, at least they would deal with the problem later, because he was already very nervous about how this would end. He sighed in relief, seeing that there was no rush, or so he thought. Naruto, although I hope they're not upset with me. It would be sad to break hearts. With a smile, Tsunade, as if you're so lucky, brat. Just because you're famous now doesn't mean you should get a big head. With a chuckle, Naruto said goodbye. Naruto, see you later. Tsunade, Naruto, wait. She called one last time, Tsunade, I need to tell you one last thing. In light of this, you won't be given any more missions so we can choose your wife. Also, you have to go out with her so the village can get an idea of your relationship, okay? Naruto, no more. I quickly looked for an excuse to stop him from asking more questions. Tsunade, actually, everyone wants you to get married because they need you to have heirs. The truth is, most are worried because you're the last Uzumaki. With you, the last line of your clan would be lost. If that happens, Konoha might lose its best asset. Besides, I could arrange for you to marry several girls if you wish. If you want a real marriage, even better, but if not, we could have a fake marriage so you inherit everything and see for yourself what you want. To be honest, Naruto, since Jiraiya left, I've taken on the responsibility of looking after you. So, if your wish is to leave Konoha or stay, I'll understand. The best thing I can do for you is take care of you. The boy was touched by the woman's words. Naruto, thank you. I know that since my master, the pervy sage, died, you've suffered too. It's something we all have to bear, all of us who knew him. Okay, Grandma, I accept the fake marriage. I think it's my best option for now. The decision he made brought a smile to the woman's face. She was pleased by the boy's words. Tsunade, very well, Naruto, don't worry. We'll see who the right girl for this might be. I'll show you the candidates later. Naruto was satisfied, at least they would deal with the problem later, because he was already very nervous about how this would end. He sighed in relief, seeing that there was no rush, or so he thought. Naruto, although I hope they're not upset with me. It would be sad to break hearts. With a smile, Tsunade, as if you're so lucky, brat. Just because you're famous now doesn't mean you should get a big head. With a chuckle, Naruto said goodbye. Naruto, see you later. Tsunade, Naruto, wait. She called one last time, Tsunade, I need to tell you one last thing. In light of this, you won't be given any more missions so we can choose your wife. Also, you have to go out with her so the village can get an idea of your relationship, okay? Naruto, no more. It's something we all have to bear, all of us who knew him. Okay, Grandma, I accept the fake marriage. I think it's my best option for now. The decision he made brought a smile to the woman's face. She was happy with the boy's words. Tsunade, very well, Naruto, don't worry. We'll see who the right girl for this might be. I'll show you the candidates to choose from later. Naruto was satisfied, at least they would deal with the problem later, because he was already very nervous about how this would end. He sighed in relief, seeing that there was no rush, or so he thought. Naruto, although I hope you're not upset with me, it would be sad to break hearts. With a smile, Tsunade, as if you're so lucky, brat. Just because you're famous now doesn't mean you should let it go to your head. With a chuckle, Naruto says goodbye. Naruto, see you later. Tsunade, Naruto, wait. She calls one last time. Tsunade, I need to tell you one last thing. In light of this, you won't be given any more missions so we can choose your wife. Also, you have to go out with her so the village can get an idea of your relationship, okay? Naruto, no more, it's something we all have to bear, all of us who knew him. Okay, Grandma, I accept the fake marriage. I think it's my best option for now. The decision he made brought a smile to the woman's face. She was happy with the boy's words. Tsunade, very well, Naruto, don't worry. We'll see who the right girl for this might be. I'll show you the candidates to choose from later. Naruto was satisfied, at least they would deal with the problem later, because he was already very nervous about how this would end. He sighed in relief, seeing that there was no rush, or so he thought. Naruto, although I hope you're not upset with me, it would be sad to break hearts. With a smile, Tsunade, as if you're so lucky, brat. Just because you're famous now doesn't mean you should let it go to your head. With a chuckle, Naruto says goodbye. Naruto, see you later. Tsunade, Naruto, wait. She calls one last time. Tsunade, I need to tell you one last thing. In light of this, you won't be given any more missions so we can choose your wife. Also, you have to go out with her so the village can get an idea of your relationship, okay? Naruto, no more missions, he replied terrified. I'm supposed to stay here in the village doing nothing. Tsunade, well, that's not entirely true. If you'd like, you can come to the hospital. We need someone to clean the hallways. The woman laughed. Naruto, are you kidding, Grandma? Tsunade, well, the offer is on. Besides, you'd have the chance to spend more time with Sakura. Tsunade realized what she'd said and, quickly falling silent, apologized. Tsunade, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. She knew about their situation and didn't want to say more. Naruto saw Tsunade was nervous about what he'd said, so he decided to reassure her with what he'd been thinking up to that point. Naruto, don't worry about Sakura. I think it'll all be forgotten. Sasuke will come one of these days, and I'm sure she'll be by his side. In the end, I'll be alone. I hope that when that day comes, I'll at least see it with my own eyes, to realize that it's all over. Tsunade looked at the sad boy and asked, Tsunade, you still love her, don't you? Even after all this time, I still can't believe she hasn't fallen in love with you. Putting all the tact she could into her words, she listened attentively to his response. Naruto, I don't do it just because I fell in love with her. She's always getting into trouble. I think in the end, I'm the only one who can solve it. Tsunade, maybe, but it's not your responsibility. Besides, in the end, who will help you? Naruto, I don't know, but I hope to find out soon. With a smile, Naruto said goodbye to Tsunade, leaving her alone in her office. Tsunade, I hope that special girl who reciprocates your feelings appears, Naruto. Elsewhere, INO was walking through the village, hurrying to the hospital. As she got closer, she entered, heading to Naruto's room, but a sudden impact from the collision caused her to fall to the ground, rubbing her head in pain. INO looked at the person she bumped into and was greatly surprised when she realized it was none other than Naruto. She said, "I'm sorry, INO," trying to apologize and explain. Naruto replied, "I just couldn't wait. You brought what I asked for." INO smiled triumphantly. "I got it." Naruto beamed with joy. Finally. He got up from the ground, now able to savor his delicious treat. "Come on, INO, I want to eat it with you," Naruto said. "Wait, what did you say?" INO asked. Naruto grabbed her hand and dragged her along, making a surprised INO blush bright red. If people saw them, they might think they were a couple, which triggered a flood of emotions in INO. The two went to Naruto's room. A curious Tsunade found herself caught up in the scene, watching them from afar. "Well, it seems we already have a candidate," she thought. INO and Naruto were using hospital plates and cutlery, both enjoying the dish, which Naruto watched with curiosity. "Naruto, you've never tried ramen in your life?" she asked with a horrified tone, which the girl considered. INO, "No, not really. I've heard of ramen, but I've never tried it. Although, I must say, I like the dish you chose, Naruto. It's pork, right?" Naruto, "Of course. It's one of the things I enjoy most in this world," he said excitedly. INO, "Well, I'm flattered that you want to enjoy it with me." Looking at the boy with a mischievous voice and gaze, Naruto couldn't help but feel nervous. He had never been so close to a girl, especially since they were sitting on the bed side by side, close enough to touch each other's elbows and thighs. "Naruto, well, I'd like to thank you for how you've treated me. Sakura would usually hit me if I did something like that. She doesn't like ramen very much, in fact, I think she hates it." This made INO burst out laughing, imagining Sakura with a mouthful of ramen. "INO, I don't think she dislikes him that much. In fact, I could tell you a thing or two about her." Naruto looked at her curiously. "Naruto, I hope she's okay. Now that Sasuke's back and then gone again, I think she misses him. I wonder if they'll end up together." Feeling a little saddened by what INO said, "I think she doesn't love him like she used to." The boy choked a little. "Naruto, are you serious, INO?" INO, "No, not really. I just wanted to make you feel better." Naruto, "What? How will that make me feel better?" INO, "Tell me, Naruto, would you rather I tell you a lie that will calm you down or a truth that will hurt you?" The boy thought about it for a moment and understood what she meant. "Naruto, I think I'd choose the truth. In the end, I think it's for the best. But did I ever have a chance with her?" INO didn't know what to say. No matter how much she thought about it, the only thing that came to mind was, "INO, Sakura's mind has been through a lot. I couldn't tell you what she's really thinking. Even I, her friend, don't fully understand her. I suppose she still has that childlike mindset since Sasuke was always her obsession. I guess she'll have to close that chapter before seeing what she'll do next." Naruto stared thoughtfully at the ground. After all, wasn't he in the same situation? Wasn't what he felt an obsession? How could he know? From the moment he met her, he felt beautiful things for her, but then there were her punches, her bad temper, her lack of patience with him, and the fact that she always had one problem or another. "Naruto, I still remember, INO, when Sasuke pierced her with a chidori." INO coughed. "Did he really do that?" Naruto, "Yes, that's right. He practically left the girl badly injured. I felt bad thinking he traumatized her. I even thought it wasn't a genjutsu, but it turned out to be one, an illusion to knock her out of the fight. But that time I thought it would all end between them since Sasuke didn't want Sakura." INO calmed down a little because her friend wasn't seriously injured, but then she thought back to what Naruto had said. Was he crazy? How could he do that to her? And why didn't Sakura tell me anything? Did she still think he'd change his ways? INO wondered, taking her time to continue the conversation. Ino asked, Naruto, do you think Sasuke is in love with Sakura? Naruto replied, I don't know. I think he feels something for her, but I couldn't tell you what it is. The only thing I know for sure is that it will end badly. Ino asked, why do you say that? Do you think they won't make it? Naruto responded, Sasuke is a cold person. He's my friend, and we understand each other in battle, but personally, I think he wants to remain the solitary ninja he is. Besides, all the bad things have already happened, and he still hasn't reappeared. I think if he does, it will be for a very important reason. I don't know what Sakura-chan thinks about it, but all I wish for her is her happiness. Ino said, Naruto, I hope you find yours. Taking the blonde boy's hand, Ino gave him an angelic look and smile, which impressed him. He returned the smile, and they gazed intently at each other. It was as if time stood still. A couple of seconds passed as they stared, unable to break eye contact. Just as they were about to approach each other, the bedroom door opened. Sakura, Naruto, there you are. I thought you'd run away. I have something to tell you. Ino. What are you two doing? Naruto and Ino looked at Sakura, who, in unison, said, in hushed voices, the sweet moment is over. Come with me, Naruto, Sakura said. Elsewhere, Sakura watched Naruto, Naruto watched Sakura, both of them face to face, neither blinking, both nervous about what was happening. Naruto, could this be true? No way, I'm imagining things. It must be true. Sakura, no, Naruto, it's true. I want you to be a clown. Sakura reiterated. Naruto was shocked. Naruto, what are you saying? Are you kidding me, Sakura-chan? A burst of laughter from Ino could be heard, who couldn't stop watching the scene. When Sakura took Naruto out of the room, she thought it was something serious, a matter of utmost importance, and she also thought that Naruto was expecting a confession from her. This irritated her a little, but she dismissed those thoughts since she knew that Naruto, just from the impression he gave, was very kind and nothing more, always helpful. Naruto, do you think I'm a joke, Sakura-chan? The loudest boy in Konoha shouted while looking at the number one pink-haired girl in his thoughts. Sakura, calm down, I think it's a good idea. Let me tell you the whole thing. I need you to cheer up the children in the hospital. It's something we've wanted to do so they can improve their attitude. I'm sure if they see you, they'll change and be happy. They'll be here for a few weeks depending on their results, but I need them to play games, tell jokes, all that stuff so they feel loved. Naruto, putting it that way, Sakura, I don't think there's any problem with me helping. Besides, I won't have any missions, so it would be good for me to come here. Sakura, very well, then I'll introduce you to the children. Let's go. Naruto, alright. Walking with the girl, Naruto turned to look at Ino, who wasn't moving. Naruto, aren't you coming with us? Ino, I have a lot of things to do, but I'll catch up with you in a little while. I still have my other duties. Naruto, alright, then I'll see you later. Saying goodbye to Ino, Sakura and Naruto headed to the children's area, a room where all the children were kept together so they could encourage each other and receive the care they needed. It was at that moment that the door to the room opened, and the children were surprised by who had arrived. Naruto, they all shouted in unison. They couldn't believe their hero was here, the one who saved the village and fought in wars, emerging victorious from each one. Sakura was happy for them. Finally, she could see them laughing and enjoying the moment. As she watched Naruto greet them all, they unexpectedly got up and went to hug him. Some who were still in bed raised their hands so Naruto would come closer and hug them, something Sakura found endearing. She thought about how the atmosphere around Naruto changed when he was there, something that had always impressed her since they were little. She blushed at how he picked them up and played with them all. Tsunade, what an impressive scene, said the Hokage, who was standing behind Sakura. Sakura, Tsunade-sama. She shouted in surprise. Then she continued the conversation, all while returning to the scene of Naruto and the children. Sakura, yes, Naruto is amazing. A girl approached to look through the window in the wall that overlooked the children playing with Naruto. Tsunade, so she's here too, this is getting more interesting. Seeing the girl smile at the window that led to the room, the blonde Tsunade thought, could it be that she's the one? As she stared intently at the newcomer. End of chapter 4, an important mission for this blonde. INO walked through the hallways to see what Naruto was doing, she couldn't resist the urge to watch. She was curious about what he was doing, so much so that she couldn't quite finish her chores. She made her way to the room where she saw Sakura and Lady Tsunade. She was going to greet them, but suddenly she saw Naruto at the window, having fun with the children. The scene was touching, the depression the children felt vanished the moment they started interacting with the most boisterous young man in Konoha. It was then that Lady Tsunade approached him without Sakura noticing. INO, Lady Tsunade. Lady Tsunade, hello INO, what do you think? Naruto is good at what he does, don't you think? INO saw Naruto through the window in the wall. INO, he's amazing, you always have something new to say about him. Tsunade, tell me, INO, what do you think of him, do you like him? INO thought for a moment before answering. INO, well, we're not very close, but I like the way he is, and I think he's a very special boy. Blushing, which Tsunade noticed immediately, Tsunade, you know, Naruto is in trouble, and I really want to help him. He always tries hard to support others, but he almost always neglects himself. Tell me, if I asked you to do something to help Naruto, would you? INO was surprised. Naruto in trouble? What could it be? INO, tell me, is this serious? Tsunade, not really, but it would be a great help to the boy. I need you to answer me. Tell me, what would you do to help Naruto? INO thought about it. The boy had saved the village, fought in wars, helped many people, and if it weren't for him, the village would surely be in terrible situations. So she thought that if he needed help, and she was the only one Tsunade was trusting, she decided to say, I accept. The older blonde chuckled. Tsunade, I didn't even tell you what it was about. INO was embarrassed by that. INO, well, it doesn't matter if it's Naruto, I'll accept whatever he asks. Tsunade, very well, what do you think about marrying him? INO, what? Tsunade, come on, let's go to my office. Every now and then, INO pondered until they entered the Hokage's office. Tsunade sat down and told her to sit while she became serious. Tsunade, that's right, INO, the mission I've come to ask you to do is to marry Naruto. INO, what? What do you mean, marry Naruto? How is that possible? And he agrees. Did he tell you? He's crazy. If he's looking for a wife, he should be the one to ask, right? Tsunade raised her hands in front of her and answered her in a warm tone. Tsunade, calm down, INO, you see, this is the situation. After explaining to INO what had happened in several minutes of questions and answers, INO could see that this was serious and that the boy didn't have many options. INO, my marriage will be fake, right? Tsunade, that's right, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. You have to pretend in front of everyone and you mustn't tell anyone about this. It's best if everyone believes it. The only ones who will know the truth are the three of us, so what do you say? Do you accept? INO didn't know what to say. Naruto's situation was very complicated, but this was unheard of, not only because he was getting married, but because everyone would think it was real. If she found out it was fake, what could it do to the girl's reputation? Or what would her mother think? It was a mission, after all, but she didn't know what to think. INO, Lady Tsunade, I don't know what to say. Tsunade, I know it's difficult, but I think you could do it well. We were considering other girls, but honestly, I'd feel much more at ease if it were you. Please, INO, accept. If you do, we could do something for you. The girl looked at Tsunade, puzzled, which prompted the woman to continue the conversation. Tsunade, I know you've been working really hard lately. I've seen you honing your medical ninjutsu and especially putting in extra hours to properly care for your patients. You see, Sakura has also been working very hard, but she's been distracted. Right now, I don't know what's wrong with her, but I wouldn't want to burden her with more work. I want to believe it's just temporary, but if not, and if you accept the mission, you'll be the hospital director, along with a very high salary, enough for a girl like you to live very comfortably. Or, if you'd like, I can help you become the leader of your clan, which surprises me since I thought you'd be taking the position. INO was surprised. Being the hospital director and also helping me become the leader of the Yamanaka clan? That was incredible. But... INO, and what about Sakura? Tsunade, don't worry about Sakura. She'll be fine. We'll talk about it. But what do you say? Do you accept? INO was still lost in thought, unsure what to say. But without further ado, INO said, "All right, I accept. I trust you. I will marry Naruto." Tsunade smiled. "Very well, then we'll talk to him as soon as I'm done with the children, okay?" INO asked. "Now?" Tsunade replied. "I thought it would take a little longer, but the sooner the better. I want you to go on dates and walk together, do everything together so the village sees there's something between you. You have to pretend to be a couple." INO looked nervous. It had been a while since she'd dated a boy, but this was something she thought would never happen. But it was too late to back out now. "All right, excuse me, Lady Tsunade." Tsunade said, "INO, wait." INO turned to look at Tsunade. Tsunade said, "I don't think marrying Naruto is such a bad idea. After all, who knows, maybe something will happen." She winked at her. INO looked at her for a few seconds and, with a forced smile, said goodbye. Tsunade looked at this with great sadness and said, "I suppose it won't be easy after all. In the end, it will depend on the results. I hope those two get along." Naruto was playing with the children while Sakura watched the scene lovingly. Seeing Naruto in this light made her heart swell with emotion. She thought to herself, "I wonder if Naruto would be a good father," instinctively touching her stomach, which made her quickly shake her head at the involuntary action and blush intensely. Naruto was saying goodbye to the children to leave the room and head to his friend. "Well, Sakura-chan, I'm done. That was a lot of fun. I could get used to being with them for all these days." Sakura looked at Naruto, her blush hadn't faded, something Naruto noticed. "Naruto, are you okay? Do you have a fever?" Touching her forehead, this made Sakura desperate. "No, I don't have that, Naruto. I would notice. I'm a doctor." Naruto, "Ha ha ha, okay, sorry. I think I'll go home. I want to take a bath." Sakura, "Do you want me to walk you home?" Naruto, "What do you say, Sakura-chan?" Blushing, Sakura, "Well, I'll walk you home." This disappointed the boy. Naruto, "Well, I think I can go by myself, don't worry," annoyed. Sakura looked at Naruto, puzzled by her best friend's attitude, but decided to let it go. Sakura, "Okay then, goodbye." She went off to do her homework, leaving Naruto with a stupid look on his face, hitting himself with his hand. "I guess I shouldn't have listened to old Tsunade." After a while, Naruto was wandering through the hallways when a thoughtful INO saw him pass by and told him to come with her to where Tsunade was. There in the office, it was explained to him what they both had to do, and the news that INO was going to be his wife surprised him to the point of going crazy, since apparently he hadn't thought that someone so close would be the one to help him with his problem. Well, at least for him, since INO had a different opinion. However, the fact was accepted, and the matter was never spoken of again. This would remain a secret between them, paving the way for the happy couple. Both left the hospital. Tsunade gave INO and Naruto the day off so they could walk together through Konoha. It wasn't necessary to do anything romantic, just the fact that they were seen together, something that caught the attention of more than one person. INO, "I don't think this is going to go well." Naruto, "Well, I don't think they'll get the idea that we're dating." INO, so what should we do? Ino, well, we could hold hands. Embarrassed, leaving Ino blushing, Naruto was in shock. He had never held a girl's hand, especially not after becoming popular. He was afraid of what people would say, but he mustered up courage from somewhere deep inside. Naruto took Ino's hand, which surprised her. Ino, let me know when you're going to do it, you idiot. Naruto, what are you talking about? It was your idea. Ino, well, yes, but don't surprise me like that. Nervous, they walked through Konoha holding hands, which shocked many of those present. Everyone stared at the couple. Murmurs could be heard from all sides. Look, that's Naruto Uzumaki with Ino. It can't be. Some people have all the luck. Others, more hardened, it's not true. Surely one of them lost a bet. Shut up, someone might hear you. Ino and Naruto. Could it be that he's already forgotten Sakura? This has to be fake, Naruto. Why? Other girls, who watched the pair's relationship with envy, said something to each other. Naruto couldn't believe it, just being with Ino brought him so many conflicting emotions, shame, fear, happiness, nervousness, curiosity, among others. They had already walked quite a distance, watching the girl who, unfortunately, seemed oblivious to her surroundings. I can't believe what I'm doing, Ino told herself. I really can't believe it, but she mustered her courage and kept going. She felt her heart racing, it was different. She felt guilty for pretending to be in a relationship, she rejected the idea, she felt curious about where all this was going and a warmth in her heart because, despite everything, she felt a warmth she had never experienced before, just from touching the boy. But that warmth ended when she saw Hinata walking towards her, unaware of the situation. This put Ino on alert, and she said to Naruto, I'm going to buy something, I'll be right back. Do you think you could wait for me for about 10 minutes? This surprised Naruto, but he simply replied, okay, no problem. He stood there, waiting for her, when he noticed Hinata's presence. Naruto, Hinata. He reacted to her, Hinata, Naruto-kun. Naruto, what are you doing here? Hinata, I just got back from doing some shopping. And you? Naruto, I'm accompanying a friend. Hinata, oh, well, that's fine, Naruto. Hey, Hinata, about what we were talking about. Hinata blushed. She didn't want to remember how she confessed to Naruto, but given recent events, she decided to take him away from the stalls, to an alley where she let go of his hand. Sakura, who had finished her shift at the hospital and had to go home to rest because she was exhausted, watched the pair leave with curiosity and wanted to know if Hinata would finally confess her feelings for him. She was hopeful that she could make Naruto happy, and even if Naruto didn't love her, she would be a good match for him. Going as close as she could, she listened to what they were saying. Hinata, I love you. Please go out with me. Naruto looked at Hinata nervously. He was sure of what he felt for her, it was just affection. His heart told him that although her feelings for him were real, his for her weren't, which made him sad. It would be so easy to win her heart, fulfill the council's request, and live a happy life, but he couldn't. He couldn't give her a sham marriage, one in which he would ultimately suffer inside, and worse, cause suffering to those around him. Naruto cleared his throat and, searching for the words as calmly as possible, told her. Naruto, no, I'm sorry, Hinata, but I can't reciprocate your feelings. I don't love you. I feel affection for you, but that's all. Hinata, but Naruto-kun, I'll try my best. I won't give up. I like you so much. I can't stop thinking about you, about your effort, the shape of your whiskers, your blonde hair, how compassionate and brave you are. When I'm near you, I feel a warmth I've never felt before. I find your jokes so funny, always with that lovely smile. Thanks to you, I've dared to do things I never would have been able to do. Besides, I would be a good wife for you. Naruto. Hinata, in a tender voice, Hinata, why? Why can't you love me? Tears falling to the ground, Naruto, I don't think I can love anyone, Hinata, or I don't really know, but I want you to be happy with someone who gives you what you deserve. You're very pretty, sweet, and unique, things I like about you, but I couldn't promise you anything, that's why I don't want to give you any more false hope, I'm sorry. Hinata couldn't take it anymore and ran away from Naruto, leaving the boy frozen in place. As Sakura listened to everything, a vein popped out on her forehead, showing her annoyance at her best friend Naruto's actions. Sakura shouted, "What the hell are you doing? You let the best opportunity of your life slip away. Are you stupid or what? Hinata loves you, you shouldn't reject her." Naruto, enough, Sakura. Do you think it's not hard for me? You shouldn't be so selfish and say I accept it, because I love you. Sakura stood frozen in shock, watching the blonde boy slowly crumble as he spoke to her. Naruto, you think it doesn't hurt, Sakura-chan? You think I wouldn't want to love someone else? You think I don't? How could I, when I still have feelings for you? Can't you see? I like you. I've always liked you, and I can't forget you. Tears welling up, he rubbed his eyes with his arm to wipe them away, saying with pain, Naruto, I know I don't have a chance, that one of these days I might lose you forever, and I've accepted it. I've accepted just being your friend, but don't come telling me who I should love because I can't, and you have no right. So leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Don't talk to me anymore. Don't even look at me if you can, because I can't take this anymore. The boy, without letting her speak, walked away, stepping over her, but stopped halfway and said, It's too late now, but I'm going to marry INO. Please don't come to our wedding. This left Sakura in shock, as she hadn't imagined such terrible news. Naruto said goodbye to her. Naruto, goodbye, Sakura-chan. I thought I was stronger to be by your side, but I was wrong. Leaving, he left Sakura stunned by the news. She collapsed, tears streaming down her face as Naruto walked out of the alley. Naruto's suffering was palpable, you could see he was devastated. He had broken 2 very important relationships in a single day, leaving him with many thoughts. As INO watched him approach, she asked if he was all right. The blonde nodded and said, I'm going home. I want to be alone for a while. INO nodded. INO, okay, I'll see you later. Naruto, see you tomorrow. Saying goodbye to INO, who had several questions about the boy's attitude, she thought he was upset at being left alone, but she didn't consider that so much, or even something else, might have happened while she was gone. She put that aside when she saw Sakura looking a complete mess, head down. INO went to greet her, when Sakura, in a swift movement, slapped her, surprising INO with such a move. Tears streaming down her face, Sakura said, Is it true, INO? INO didn't know what to say. INO asked, What's wrong, Sakura? Why did you hit me? Grabbing her by the shoulders, the pink-haired girl repeated, Is it true that you're marrying Naruto? INO said, Sakura. Distraught, Sakura yelled, Answer me. INO replied, Yes, I'm marrying Naruto. Sakura let go of INO. Who looked somewhat sad because she hadn't thought it would affect her so much. INO, could it be him? Sakura, don't talk nonsense, INO. The pink-haired girl mustered her courage. Sakura, he's a fool, a hopeless idiot, a stupid person who's easily deceived, who likes ramen, who never stops smiling, and who has supported me unconditionally. A kind person with a pure heart who doesn't let others suffer. I can't like someone like that. Her voice broke with regret. Not now that I know he's going to marry my best friend. Crying, people watched them, murmuring about a love triangle and how complicated it would be to be Naruto now. INO saw this out of the corner of her eye and said, Sakura, come on, I can explain. You see. And then she remembered what Tsunade had told her, no one should know about this. It will stay between the 3 of us. This silenced the girl. Sakura, what are you going to tell me? You betrayed me. INO, but Sakura, you yourself told me you don't like Naruto. Before, you saw Naruto as just a friend, so why now? Tell me, don't you have Sasuke? He's the love of your life, someone special to you. You always loved him more than Naruto. Without realizing it, INO began to lose control of the conversation, letting her anger consume her. INO, you always put Sasuke before Naruto, always, even in the worst moments, you didn't help him. You always looked out for yourself, never for him. Now don't beat your chest just because you realized your true feelings. Do you think he doesn't notice? Do you think he's so stupid that he'll always let you manipulate him? He's scared. That word resonated with Sakura, who watched in shock, letting INO continue her explanation. INO, that's right, scared that when Sasuke arrives, you'll treat him like dirt. You think he doesn't notice? The only one who never noticed his feelings was you, so don't blame me for your mistakes. Leaving, INO went the way Naruto had gone, seeing that the situation wasn't good. If they made a mistake, things could get much worse. She simply wasn't going to leave him alone this time, not to his fate as they had done so many times before. Because Naruto might be strong, but that didn't mean he was invincible, and that was certainly true when it came to matters of the heart. In his apartment, Naruto had already showered and was wearing pajamas. Night had fallen, and still saddened by the day's events, he wondered if this wasn't fate's doing, as it always dealt him a bad hand. Despite everything, he always managed to find some peace and quiet. In his room, he couldn't stop thinking about Sakura and Hinata, who must be suffering right now because of him. But he had to be honest if he wanted to make his true feelings clear, he couldn't hide them anymore. This was consuming him from within, and perhaps in a moment, he wouldn't be able to control himself any longer. While he was thinking this, the doorbell rang. Someone was knocking quickly. Naruto approached the door, thinking it was Sakura and that she would surely say something. He was terrified that it was her, but a sense of calm washed over him when he realized who it was. It's INO, open the door, Naruto. Naruto opened the door with a blank stare. Naruto, what do you want, INO? I told you we'd see each other tomorrow. INO was annoyed by what he said. INO, I know, idiot. I just came because I thought it would be better to keep you company. Naruto, keep me company, you say? But what are you talking about? INO, well, we're a couple, sorry, I mean, Naruto, we're engaged, so we have to pretend as best we can, and one of those things is sleeping together at least one night. Naruto, what? But that's not necessary, it's still too soon, don't you think? While looking at INO who was still outside his door, INO, not at all, so are you going to let me in or not? In a reproachful tone, Naruto thought about the situation for a moment. Naruto, I accept, fine, but my bed isn't exactly comfortable. INO, that's why I brought my backpack. She pointed to her back, it seemed she had everything prepared. INO, I already told my mother about our engagement. Naruto, and what did she say? He seemed nervous. INO, she said she approves and is very happy that I'm getting married. She knows about you and everything you've done for the village, so it won't be a problem. Maybe you should come eat with us so you can meet. Naruto, sure, INO, but your mom didn't say anything about you wanting to sleep with me. INO, well, we're engaged. We're getting married. I think it's normal, but don't go imagining any perverted things you might have in mind since we're just going to sleep. After all, this is just a fake marriage. She smiled. Naruto, I don't know, INO. I'm not in the mood for this. It's better if you go. It's been a long day. Bam! A blow to the head made Naruto react. Naruto, what was that? INO, that's right, so you'll stop being silly. When a girl invites you to spend the night with her, I think it's rude to refuse, especially since she cares about you. Naruto, what are you saying? How do you care about me? INO approached the boy and hugged him, leaving Naruto speechless. INO, relax, don't be afraid. You can cry on my shoulder if you want. I'll be here to help you because now you and I are a team. Naruto understood her words. Naruto, you already know, she told you. INO, she doesn't agree with the idea, but don't worry, she'll get over it. Letting the silence envelop them, drops of tears fell on Ino's shoulder as she continued to hug him. Naruto was overcome with emotion by the girl's affection, and he let his feelings surface, closing the door to go to sleep. End of chapter 5. The new couple. It was already dawn in Konoha, light coming through the window of a room where two blondes were lying down. INO and Naruto had slept together, which was strange, even for themselves. After a long talk and a lot of nerves about finding themselves in that situation, they decided to do it. After all, INO was already prepared with her backpack and it was too late for her to go back home. The girl opened her eyes to find the blonde boy's calm face. She admired his beauty and the tranquility he exuded. Seeing him like this, she began to think about how difficult it must be not to fall in love with him. But then she remembered that getting involved with him would be a problem for them later. The boy liked Sakura, she was going to be the girl of his life now and forever, and he didn't think he could ever forget her. But he was curious if perhaps she could be the one to make him forget his best friend. She felt terrible thinking about losing Sakura over this, a fake relationship that was only a mission entrusted to her by Tsunade. In the end, she would have to decide. If her feelings got involved, it could jeopardize the mission, and she didn't know how it would end. However, another part of her just wanted to be with him a little longer, at least for as long as it lasted, because if she was honest with herself, being with Naruto brought her so much peace and tranquility. Something she noticed from the first moment she saw him. Feeling things for him wasn't the problem was what he felt for her. Maybe he didn't even see her as a woman, and perhaps everything she thought about a life together was not difficult at all, she told herself. Suddenly, Naruto moved a little closer, his face getting closer every now and then until it touched her forehead. They were too close. The blonde didn't want to move. She felt that if she did anything, she might wake him, so instead of being scared, she decided to calm down and enjoy the moment. They both remained still, making the girl smile tenderly at his action. The boy pretended to be asleep for a while, closing his eyes and waiting for his reaction. Naruto was shocked to see INO so close. What happened, he said to himself. Did she come closer? We're too close, he thought. Could it be that she feels something for me? This can't be. I don't think it's true. After all, I don't think INO could ever like me. Seeing her so calm, his mind wandered to something and he said, she's very pretty. He reflexively stroked INO's cheek, which made the girl blush and wake up with a start. Naruto, what's wrong? Naruto squealed inwardly. Nothing's wrong, INO. I didn't mean to wake you. I'm sorry, the blonde apologized, embarrassed by the situation. I think it's time to get up. The girl nodded, but remembering the gentle touch that had happened a moment ago, she thought, could it be? Naruto went to the kitchen to get a couple of bowls, then went to the refrigerator, but realized it was empty, something that wasn't just common, but a reality in the boy's life. In his refrigerator, the milk and other products he had for breakfast were always expired. INO had already changed to go to the hospital and was waiting for Naruto to get ready. Since there was nothing to eat, they decided to go out for breakfast together. They both went outside when casual conversation began. INO was telling Naruto about her day at work, while Naruto was talking about his past missions and how boring it would be not being able to do anything after going with the children, since that was the only task he'd been given so far. INO wondered if she could get Naruto something at the hospital if he wanted, but Naruto countered that he wouldn't know what to do in a hospital. Naruto, even though Grandma said I could clean the hallways, if I can barely clean my own room, I don't know if I'd do a good job. INO laughed at the comment. After all, he was right. Her room was more decent than the entire apartment, the living room, the kitchen, and everything else. They walked until they reached a cafe, where they ordered a couple of sandwiches and coffee to wake up from the day. They both started chatting about their friends and how annoying they could be, like Tenten, Shikamaru, Rock Lee, Choji, and others, and how Konoha wouldn't be the same without them. They were chatting pleasantly when they decided to end their conversation and went together to the hospital. Naruto to see the children and Ino to work with her patients. All this while people watched them, still not believing that the two were dating. It was quite a novelty, and the gossip spread among the villagers. Shikamaru found out about it from Tenten, and then he told Choji, and so on, until it reached all of the couple's close friends. Naruto promised to go to Ino's house to talk to her mother. After the girls' shift ended, Ino and hers finished, spending the afternoon chatting with all their friends at the Ichiraku ramen stand. Shikamaru couldn't believe it, it was true, they were dating. Choji's mouth was agape in surprise. Ino and Naruto held hands, making it official. Now they were something more. Rock Lee was happy for them, while Tenten beamed from ear to ear. Apparently, she was the only one who thought they would make a cute couple, a comment that made Ino a little nervous. Did they really have a future together? That's what Ino thought. Night fell, and they celebrated at a karaoke bar and had a great time. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a man was surrounded by several people who were telling him the news about who would be Naruto Uzumaki's future wife. Ibuki, the leader of the Yamanaka clan, watched this with complete coldness. Ibuki, tell me, do you think this will be a problem? This made more than one of those present think, I don't believe it, Ibuki-sama. This could turn in our favor, said one of the people. Something the leader understood perfectly. You're right, in the end all this has come at a good time. I'll have to speak with him. Leave now, I'll inform you later what we will do, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Hayashi looked annoyed. Naruto Uzumaki rejected my daughter. That's unthinkable, said the clan leader while Hinata cried in her place. Hinata, don't do anything, father, please. I still love him. Those words from his daughter only angered the leader of the Hyuga clan. He wasn't just upset that she had rejected his daughter, but now everyone knew that Naruto and Ino were dating. They could practically be considered a couple. Now Naruto would go to the Yamaka clan, so Ibuki would have more power if he managed to keep Ino. Hayashi, what a nuisance. That damned man doesn't even deserve the position. Was this your plan, you wretched Ibuki? Hinata stopped crying and started to leave, but a look from her father stopped her in her tracks. Hayashi, Hinata, do you really love Naruto? Hinata, yes, father, I love him. Hayashi, then what do you say if I help you have him? Only on one condition. Hinata saw this and didn't know what to say. Was her father serious? Hayashi smiled and said, what do you say? The girl looked at him, letting the silence fill the air. Sakura spent the whole day crying in her room. The news of Naruto and Ino being a couple had shocked her deeply. Despite everything, she had always believed that Naruto would always be there for her, but she never thought he would end up rejecting her just like Sasuke. At least now she knew one thing, he had truly messed things up. So much time rejecting her feelings had finally hit her in a way she didn't know how to handle. Now he was happy, or so she assumed. After all, he had never told her if he was in love with Ino. In fact, it was strange when they went out. They had never spoken more than that day. Her best friend with her best friend, it was odd and very rushed, especially since she knew Naruto, and they were always together. So, Ino and Naruto's relationship didn't make any sense. Something was wrong. Could it be a lie? A glimmer of hope, perhaps. Although, just for a moment, she wanted to believe it. Now what was she going to do? Apologize? Or maybe leave them alone and not bother them? She couldn't decide yet, until a knock sounded at the door. It was her mother. Who was knocking? Sakura, come in. Sakura's mother opened the door. Mabuki, Sakura, there's someone downstairs who wants to talk to you. Sakura was surprised, she wasn't expecting anyone. Could it be Naruto? She quickly went downstairs, and in a fit of surprise, the person who arrived greeted her, hello, Sakura. She couldn't believe it, Sasuke-kun. While the blondes finished talking with their friends, they left the group to go together to Ino's house, where her mother greeted them and officially asked for Ino's hand in marriage, something quite sweet, really, since Naruto was nervous and stuttering. Naruto, I mean, well, the truth is, I need to ask you. Ask you for Ino's hand in marriage. Blushing at his clumsiness, this made the girls laugh. The mother accepted, hugging the blonde, leaving Ino deeply moved. Mrs. Yamanaka remembered at that moment her husband, Inoichi Yamanaka, who had sadly passed away, but without a doubt, wherever he was, he would be proud that his daughter was finally getting married. Until now, she was the only one who knew, she still had to process the news that they were a couple. Later, they would reveal their engagement to everyone, culminating in a wonderful dinner. Sakura, Sasuke. Sasuke, are you alright? Asked the lone ninja. The girl didn't know what to say. She had waited so long for this that she froze when he appeared. It was then that her parents, who were present, left the couple so they could talk in peace, in the comfort of their living room. It was then that Sakura decided to make a move and slapped Sasuke, turning his face. Sakura, you idiot. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you, how much I needed you, and you only show up now? Leaving Sasuke surprised by the girl's reaction. Sakura, you don't know how much I needed you. Hitting his chest, crying, giving in to her feelings, Sakura, why didn't you show up? Sasuke stood still, watching Sakura pour her heart out. He hugged her so she could feel his presence, whispering, I'm here. Sakura heard her beloved's voice and stole a kiss, which Sasuke returned. They shared a tender moment, their parents watching from nearby. Kizashi, it seems her wish came true. Mabuki, she's growing up. Her mother watched the girl. Kizashi, I wonder if we'll be grandparents. All I ask is that she's happy. The man said as the woman led him away to his room. Sakura was ready to take the next step and take Sasuke to her room. Something like this had left her longing to be with him, but something held her back. Sasuke, what's wrong, Sakura? Sakura, nothing, just, do you think you could stay with me tonight? Sasuke looked at her, his usual expression silent, but with a nod, he agreed to stay at her house. Elsewhere, Naruto and Ino were walking together until they reached their house. Dinner was over, and they were saying their goodbyes, all in full view of their mother, who had noticed something odd. They might appear to be a couple, but the natural way they interacted made it seem like they really were, at least in terms of affection. However, there was still a huge distance between them, it still felt forced, something that didn't go unnoticed. They had to be careful if they didn't want anyone to realize. They stood facing each other, about to say goodbye as usual, but an idea popped into their heads. How should they say goodbye? Should they do it the usual way, or with a kiss? Both were nervous. Naruto wasn't an expert, but he knew he had kissed more people than Ino, though he wasn't very confident about it, since it had all been forced, whether by chance or to save his life, he wasn't very motivated. They both approached each other while Ino's mother watched them. They continued to get closer little by little until they were close enough to kiss. Ino's thoughts, but it didn't feel right. Was it forced? She didn't want to kiss Naruto like that. Even if it was all a lie, couldn't she allow herself a real kiss? Naruto's thoughts, something that also made Naruto think. He felt bad for pretending this, it was wrong not to do it. But after a few moments, a mischievous smile appeared on his face, which made Naruto, in one swift movement, kiss Ino's cheek, winking at her. Naruto, maybe later, smiling at her and running off. Leaving an embarrassed Ino. Ino, I should be the one saying this, with a pout. Ino giggled. The boy could surprise her from time to time, and now more than ever, it felt good. Dawn had already broken as Sakura got out of bed, a blush rising to her cheeks. Sakura wondered, was what happened real? Sasuke-kun has returned. She looked on her bed and saw a note from him, explaining why he had left her room. It read, Sakura, I have to see the Hokage. I'll see you soon at the hospital. This made the girl smile. Sakura woke up in a good mood. Could it be that the dream she'd had since she was little was finally coming true? Now she would finally be happy with Sasuke. She got up eagerly to have breakfast. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Sasuke was talking to Tsunade, who was explaining that he could have missions and that there wouldn't be a problem with it. While she was explaining the matter, a door unexpectedly opened, revealing a happy Naruto. "Naruto, good morning, old lady Tsunade. I've come too." Putting his words aside, he saw his best friend arrive. "Naruto, Sasuke-kun, you're back." This immediately surprised the boy. Sasuke looked at the blonde. "Sasuke, hello, Naruto." Naruto couldn't believe it. He had finally returned from his trip, after all this time he had been away from the village. Only one question came to mind: are you going to stay? To which Sasuke nodded. Naruto finally understood. Now there was only one more thing to say. "Naruto, tell me, Sasuke, what was the reason you came back?" This surprised Sasuke. It was his village, after all, but he knew that wasn't the answer he wanted to hear, so he changed it. "Sasuke, I came for Sakura." A duel of stares intensified. Their rivalry could be felt now more than ever. Something that hadn't changed in their relationship was their eagerness to fight each other. Tsunade decided to interrupt. "That's enough, you two. Whatever you're thinking, don't cause trouble, not here." Without paying attention, Naruto stared intently at Sasuke, who returned his gaze. He knew what Sasuke wanted and what his eyes were telling him. They had known each other since childhood, after all. Naruto calmly left the room, while Tsunade found the boy's behavior strange. This made her wonder what had happened. Sasuke saw Tsunade, and after breaking the tension, they continued their conversation before saying their goodbyes. Sasuke was walking through the streets of Konoha, overhearing whispers from the villagers. "Sasuke's here. Now what's going on? Did he find out Naruto's getting married? Did he come for Sakura? Is it true they're a couple now?" Just as quickly as that, the news spread that Sakura was with Sasuke, thanks to Sakura's mother. Proud of her daughter, she had finally achieved what she'd wanted for years, and she told her friends, making the news travel like lightning. Sasuke knew what he had to do, and in a flash, he couldn't resist any longer. He arrived at the training grounds, where a calm Naruto was waiting for him. "Naruto, you're late." Looking at him seriously, "Sasuke, I didn't think it would be serious." "Naruto, me neither, I didn't think it would be like this, but," smiling, "it doesn't bother me anymore." "What about you?" "Sasuke, me neither." Smiling, a chilling sound was heard outside Konoha. At the hospital, INO and Sakura were looking at each other, both uncomfortable with the situation. They had fought many times before, but they always ended up making up. Now they didn't know if the same would happen, but they decided to talk. Starting the conversation, Sakura apologized for the slap, and especially for her reaction, since it wasn't her intention to be so despotic. This surprised INO. Sakura apologizing? That's not something you see every day. But INO accepted the apology, also apologizing for not telling her about her relationship with Naruto. Sakura looked at this, still thoughtful, wondering how that relationship had been possible, but she let it go and they both hugged. Their friendship was more important than any boy. They had relied on each other since they were children, until Sakura's obsession with Sasuke ended their friendship. Both were in love with the same boy, and when Sasuke left the village, Sakura was saddened by his departure, something INO noticed. This caused Sakura to worry about her and offer her support, and they rekindled their friendship, which neither wanted to break again, especially since they were now in the same situation. Both were happy with how everything had been resolved. A loud crash hit their ears. Were they under attack? It was then, upon leaving the hospital, that they realized they were in the training grounds. A colossal cloud of dust rose into the sky, horrifying all the villagers, including Tsunade, who ordered the ANBU to stop them. Meanwhile, in the training grounds, Naruto and Sasuke clashed fists repeatedly. Naruto formed a shadow clone seal while igniting his chakra to its maximum, until he possessed the Nine-Tails cloak. It was an intense energy that covered his entire body, while Sasuke awakened his Rinnegan and Mangekyo Sharingan, giving Naruto a battle. Sasuke faced all of Naruto's clones, striking one or two at a time, while Naruto leaped from above with a Rasen Shuriken aimed straight at him. Sasuke, revealing the chest of his incomplete Susanoo form, managed to block the attack until they both decided to escalate the situation, resulting in a blast of light that blinded most of them as the tremors continued. The ANBU were approaching as quickly as possible, followed by a couple of girls, one with blonde hair and the other with pink, both worried about what was happening. Something told them this had something to do with Naruto and Sasuke. After Sakura told INO that Sasuke had returned, it wasn't a coincidence that the battle was taking place in the training field. The light reached them as they advanced, and when it stopped, they saw the two lying on the grass, both staring at the sky. A worried Sakura rushed to Sasuke's aid. As Naruto watched the scene, he said to himself, "Now I can see him perfectly, so it's time." He stood up as best he could, watching Sasuke being tended to by Sakura. Then he turned to see INO standing in front of him. INO didn't want to approach, she knew the fight was over her. Sakura, the owner of his heart, felt a strange pang of jealousy and resentment toward the pink-haired girl, but she couldn't blame her since she knew it was all because of Naruto. In the end, she was always honest, but Naruto, well, even though it hurts, he was too, about his feelings, so he felt bad since it seemed no one was to blame for what they felt. Naruto walked away from the couple while looking at INO. Sasuke started coughing and told the boy to wait. Naruto turned around and replied, "Make her happy, okay?" Smiling. This surprised Sasuke Uchiha, the lone ninja of Konoha, and Sakura, leaving a bad taste in his mouth, seeing that Naruto had also referred to her. Despite everything, he still wanted her happiness. Naruto was limping a little, which bothered him because the pain was becoming more obvious. He was about to fall when an arm caught him. It was INO who grabbed him at the last moment, taking him by the shoulders. "INO, don't worry, I'll take care of you." Looking at each other sweetly, INO could understand from those words that the blonde boy had already resigned himself to it, and she believed that despite his annoyance, she assumed it was a great step forward for him, so she put her feelings aside to help him, and the two of them went to the hospital. End of Chapter 6, My Relationship with Sakura. In a hospital room, a young woman with blonde hair sat on a small bench, sleeping peacefully with her arms crossed and resting on the bed, accompanying the most boisterous boy in Konoha, who until now had only had one or two minor disagreements, though she didn't know how long they had been there, perhaps a few hours, but he was given anesthesia so that the boy could rest. The most boisterous ninja in Konoha was sleeping peacefully, remembering moments with his master Jiraiya, his friends, and Sakura. The shock of seeing her again made him wake up, but now someone else was beside him. He lay back down, wanting to return to the world of dreams, but his thoughts invaded him forcefully. Sasuke was the ideal boy for her, according to the pink-haired girl. Naruto thought and believed in a conclusion, that they would be together in the end. He always knew it. No matter how much he told himself that perhaps there was a drop of hope, in the end, all of that was discarded with these recent events. He smiled inwardly, thinking that it was finally time to forget her, that he had already lost her, and that this would be the end of their relationship. But even so, he felt that not all was lost. He still felt that he could be with her, even if it was painful. Perhaps he could still be her friend. He got out of bed and saw INO asleep, sitting beside him, leaning against the bed. So he lifted her from the small stool and carried her to his. He found a bed so he could sleep comfortably and walked away. He went to the hallways and walked when he realized it was already night. He looked around to see if a nurse could tell him where Sasuke was and check if he was alright. He approached a girl, but because of the anesthesia and the darkness, he couldn't see her very well. The lights were off, but when he touched her and she turned around, he realized it was Sakura. She was looking at him intensely as he lowered his head. "Naruto, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "How is he?" the boy asked. Sakura looked away, overcome with embarrassment. Yes, embarrassment. They still hadn't cleared up what happened in the alley, and the Sasuke situation didn't surprise her. They were always fighting, but one way or another, she knew they couldn't hate each other. Maybe they'd fight roughly, but not to the point of killing each other. "Sakura, he's fine," she replied. Right now, she didn't know what to say except, "Sakura, do you want to come with me for some fresh air?" The boy raised his head and agreed to the request. They both left the hospital and walked to a park. The walk was silent, no one knew what to say, but Naruto wasn't going to stay quiet. "Naruto, I'm sorry, Sakura, for yelling at you. I really didn't mean to upset you like that." Sakura watched the boy trying to find the words, which made her interrupt before the blonde boy could speak. "Sakura, wait, Naruto, I'm the one who should apologize. I've always gotten you into trouble, even putting your life in danger. You've always saved me without asking for anything in return. I shouldn't have been so selfish and forced you to marry Hinata. Although, to be honest, I never thought I'd see you married, but when I found out Hinata had feelings for you, I thought she would be the one for you, a beautiful girl with a very important family name in the village. With her, you could live well, you wouldn't lack anything. Everyone would respect you, and you could even become Hokage. I'm really sorry. I never thought things would end like this." Crying into the night, which seemed calmer than ever, the girl let out all the thoughts she had kept bottled up. "Naruto, Sakura, I don't love her, despite how beautiful she is. I don't think I can reciprocate her feelings completely. My life and my heart belong to someone else, and I don't think it will be easy to forget." Sakura opened her eyes quickly. "Sakura, but do you still feel something for me?" The boy nodded. "Naruto, I still have feelings for you, Sakura." They looked at each other, silent, trying to understand what the other was thinking. Sakura nervously fidgeted with her hands. "Sakura, and what about Ino? Are you two, Naruto, together?" "Naruto, yes, that's right. She and I love each other." He left the girl speechless. For the first time, Naruto had to lie like that. It didn't feel right to tell the love of his life that, but he also didn't want to leave Ino alone, who had helped him so kindly. Otherwise, all of this would be for nothing. So he continued speaking. "Naruto, Sakura-chan, I'm going to marry her. I'm sorry things couldn't work out between us, but Sasuke's here now. I suppose you'll start a romance now, and I sincerely hope you're happy. That's why I don't want you to suffer anymore because of me, because of my feelings. I don't want you to feel guilty for not loving me, because that would really make me sad." Smiling bitterly, Naruto showed that side of himself that was so concerned for others. The night was still quiet, no one was passing through the park at this hour, no one but the two of them. They were the only ones. Sakura approached Naruto and hugged him in the middle of the park. They both let their feelings for each other flow freely. They were both deeply moved by one another. In one swift movement, their faces met, gazing intently at each other. Then, driven by a mutual need, they began to share a passionate kiss. Both felt the world was more beautiful than ever, becoming a sea of conflicting emotions, where with every second, they expressed the affection they had longed for. They were both enjoying this moment so much that they didn't want it to end in just one night, but karma was harsh, and they knew it. Now they had both been with other people. It doesn't matter, they told each other. Just tonight will be enough for me. They continued until they separated, gasping and exchanging knowing glances full of energy and passion. They looked at each other with affection, but Naruto knew this was fleeting, they would both eventually have to part ways. The boy decided to start the conversation and, looking at Sakura, said goodbye. "This is goodbye for me," he said with a genuine smile. Naruto decided to continue, "It was beautiful, at least for this moment I didn't feel so alone." He left for the hospital, leaving the girl alone in the park with confused feelings. Now more than ever, Sakura wondered, could this be love? Could I be in love with Naruto? The next day, Ino was asleep in her hospital bed. She was surprised because Naruto wasn't there. Had he left alone without saying goodbye? She was shaken, but all her doubts vanished when Naruto arrived and opened the door to the room. "Naruto, good morning, INO." He smiled at the sleeping beauty. "INO, where were you, Naruto? I was scared for a moment. I thought you had left." The boy reassured her. "Naruto, don't worry, INO. I just bought some breakfast. Tell me, do you like sandwiches?" The girl saw that he was carrying a bag and a couple of coffees, so putting all that aside, she said yes. They both started eating, and INO was delighted by the treat he had brought her. "INO, who made the sandwiches?" "Naruto, I did it." INO looked surprised. "INO, you know how to cook?" Naruto, no, not really, but I learned a few things to survive. After all, sometimes I didn't have enough money for ramen. With a chuckle, INO, it's strange that you didn't bring me ramen, which is unusual for you. Naruto, what are you saying? It's fine that I like ramen, but I can mix it up once in a while, you know. Laughing and rubbing the back of his neck, making the girl laugh, INO, you look better, Naruto. Tell me, didn't the fight with Sasuke seriously injure you? Naruto, actually, no. You see, we did fight, but I don't think we'd go to that extreme. Besides, I'm stronger than him, you know. The girl smiled at the boy's attitude. INO, I thought you'd be sad because those two were together. I was really worried about you. Naruto, don't get the wrong idea, INO. The truth is, I didn't like her, but I'm not going to insist with Sakura anymore. I think I'm starting to change a little, since I understood that in the end, they would be together. Anyway, maybe I just wanted to get my revenge and see if Sasuke wasn't lying about coming for Sakura. And in the end, we're teammates, and it's only in battles that we understand each other best. I'm sorry I made you feel that way, but I'll make it up to you. You were asleep with me all night, weren't you? The girl blushed deeply and, between stutters, said, well, I'm your fiancé, aren't I? We're practically getting married, and besides, I didn't want you to feel alone. Naruto was sitting on the bench where INO had been lying. He stared at her, lost in thought. What she said felt like a gentle touch to him. No one had ever cared so much about him besides Sakura, but this time he felt a warmth in his heart. Could it be love? Naruto smiled at the girl and leaned in to kiss her forehead, which made INO blush. INO, and that's because it was Naruto? Naruto, I don't know, by the time I realized it he had already done it. You're someone special to me, INO. Thank you for being here with me. I know it's a mission for you, but I like spending all my time with you. I'll enjoy your company until it's over. Silence filled the room, neither of them said anything for a few seconds. Naruto, also, I hope this counts as a kiss, since I'm still nervous about trying it. The girl blushed. For the first time, she had heard something sincere from the blonde boy about her. INO, well, then, let's do it right. The girl grabbed his cheeks, giving him a tender kiss that made Naruto tremble. The feeling he felt in his heart was very pleasant, he was ecstatic. He slowly closed his eyes to savor the girl's lips, but abruptly pulled away from her. Both were blushing at the action they themselves had provoked, a tender kiss that didn't last long, but from that moment on, there would be a before and after. The boy remained frozen, his eyes showing that he couldn't process what had happened, unlike INO, who was nervous but aware of what she was doing. INO, well, it was just to make you feel better, okay? Don't get the wrong idea, it was just a kiss. It's not like I like you, well, I do like you, but please forget it, okay? Naruto was in shock, still not understanding what had happened. It would take him a few days to recover. What a powerful jutsu, he said to himself. The hospital door opened, revealing Shizune, Tsunade's assistant and best friend, known throughout the village. She was carrying some hospital documents and went to inform Naruto and INO about Tsunade's request. Shizune said, guys, Lady Tsunade wants to see you in her office at the Hokage Tower. Seeing that they weren't paying much attention, she asked, are you alright? He slowly closed his eyes to savor the girl's lips, but abruptly pulled away. Both were blushing at the action they themselves had provoked, a tender kiss that didn't last long, but from that moment on, there would be a before and after. The boy remained motionless, his eyes showing that he couldn't process what had happened, unlike INO, who was nervous but aware of what she was doing. INO, well, it was just to make you feel better, okay? Don't get the wrong idea, it was just a kiss. It's not like I like you, well, I do like you, but please forget it, okay? Naruto was in shock, still not understanding what had happened. It would take him a few days to recover. What a powerful jutsu, he said to himself. The hospital door opened, revealing Shizune, Tsunade's assistant and best friend, known throughout the village. She was carrying some hospital documents and went to inform Naruto and INO about Tsunade's request. Shizune said, "Guys, Lady Tsunade wants to see you in her office at the Hokage Tower." Seeing that they weren't paying much attention, she asked, "Are you alright?" He slowly closed his eyes to savor the girl's lips, but abruptly pulled away. Both were blushing at the action they themselves had provoked, a tender kiss that didn't last long, but from that moment on, there would be a before and after. The boy remained motionless, his eyes showing that he couldn't process what had happened, unlike INO, who was nervous but aware of what she was doing. INO, well, it was just to make you feel better, okay? Don't get the wrong idea, it was just a kiss. It's not like I like you, well, I do like you, but please forget it, okay? Naruto was in shock, still not understanding what had happened. It would ta. At the hospital, Sakura was in her office reviewing the paperwork of all the children who had improved thanks to Naruto, the most boisterous ninja in Konoha. Thanks to his help, the children would be discharged in a few days. Unfortunately, she remembered that kiss she had shared with Naruto, which made her redder than a tomato. She had never experienced anything like it in her life. Kissing Sasuke was incredible, she felt a triumphant joy every time she did it. She remembered her most cherished dream, to be with Sasuke Uchiha, the most talented ninja in the village. That dream had come true. Even as a child, she had feelings for him, but why did everything change so suddenly? Now she felt a void in her heart. Kissing Naruto felt different, or even better. She felt like the world froze before them, and a sea of emotions swirled in her heart with Naruto's characteristic tenderness, energy, and passion. She was truly confused, leaning against her desk, clutching her hair. Just when she thought their friendship could work, Naruto had said goodbye. What did that mean? Had he given up on her? Had he finally stopped loving her? This saddened her. Perhaps he still felt something for her, though maybe not anymore. After all, he was with INO, but she didn't know if they would ever stay together. A sound came from the door. "Sakura, come in." Sasuke entered and greeted the pink-haired girl. She shuddered, caught in her own thoughts. "Sakura, Sasuke-kun, what are you doing here?" The boy answered without hesitation, "Sasuke, I came to say hello, and I also wanted to know where Naruto is." Sakura thought about it. "Sakura, I think he already left the hospital, they discharged him, but I don't know where he went." Sasuke nodded. "Sasuke, okay, I wanted to talk to him, but I guess I can wait." Suddenly the door opened once again, revealing an ecstatic Shizune. "Sakura, what's wrong, Shizune? Why are you like this?" "Shizune, Sakura, Naruto is getting married in 2 days." Kaya. End of Chapter 7, Preparations. The summary of what the Naruto characters went through before the wedding. Sakura Haruno. Sakura walked through the hospital corridors, having just learned that Naruto was getting married. Her hands gripped the papers tightly against her chest. Something wasn't right, her head was a whirlwind. If Naruto loved her, why was he marrying INO? Had he already given up? She could still remember their kiss. Clumsily, she left the office after Shizune broke the news, excusing herself and saying goodbye to Sasuke and Shizune before crying alone. She felt guilty for leaving them both so abruptly, especially since she was supposed to be going out with Sasuke. Right now, all her thoughts belonged to Naruto, and she couldn't stop it. Every smile, every kind gesture towards her, connected her to him. Sakura was getting ready in the bathroom. She had already been there for several hours, taking advantage of the fact that not many people were passing by that shift. After a few moments she headed to her office. She thought Sasuke and Shizune had left, opened the door, and indeed Shizune was gone, but there was one person who wasn't. Sasuke, are you alright? Sakura, yes, Sasuke-kun. I was trying to get some important papers for my research on a patient. I thought you might have left. Sasuke, no, I decided to wait for you. I thought you might need to talk. Sakura became nervous, biting her lip uncontrollably. She was about to explode. She no longer knew what she wanted or what she felt in her heart. This inner conflict tormented her, and the worst part was that Sasuke was becoming suspicious because of her various reactions. The situation didn't look good for her. Sasuke, it's because of Naruto, isn't it? Sasuke's words were direct, without beating around the bush. He knew something was wrong and wasn't going to prolong the problem much longer. Sakura, I think it's time for you to go, Sasuke-kun. I need to work. Sasuke, are you going? Sakura, we haven't been invited yet, but I might go. Sasuke, why? I thought Naruto was your best friend. Sakura, I'm really busy at work, but how about we talk about it later? Sasuke, okay, I'll pick you up at 8. I want to take you to a restaurant that's not far from here. They say the food is good. Sakura smiled at his suggestion and nodded. Sasuke left through the door, letting Sakura breathe a sigh of relief. She had to get rid of this tension one way or another, and what better way than on a date with Sasuke? Now she could enjoy the solitude of her office without anyone bothering her. Maybe going out with Sasuke would clear up all her doubts, especially the image of Naruto, something she desperately needed. Hayashi Hyuga. Elsewhere, the council was relieved. Finally, their plans were going well. Now, all that remained was to wait for those two to get married, they said in their emergency meeting. Everyone was eager to see the results of the wedding Lady Tsunade was planning with Naruto and INO. Both seemed comfortable with the situation, so when they spoke with them, they stuck to the plan of appearing as a couple in love, which didn't arouse anyone's suspicions. They even sent spies to observe their relationship, but it was worrying, given the rumors of a love triangle and many other things. If that were the case, it would be a bit difficult, but since Tsunade had given the green light for the preparations, they weren't concerned in the slightest. The only thing they were working on was raising the money and getting the paperwork done so that Naruto Uzumaki would receive his other surname, Namikaze. When this became known, the other nations would be surprised, some said. Right now, it doesn't matter, the only thing that should matter is what will happen. From now on, this part of the leaf has a home, and she will soon raise children here, knowing of her power. It's certain he'll bring powerful ninjas, others said. But Hayashi's face was a picture, his displeasure was becoming increasingly evident. He knew of Naruto's power, and if he fell into another clan, his heirs would undoubtedly be just as powerful, especially if they were to become the next Jinchuriki. Perhaps it was reckless, but he could only do one thing, even if it was utter folly. After the meeting ended, Hayashi returned home. He was certain of what he had to do, but he couldn't help feeling uneasy. However, if he had that power within his clan, he could surely do something against his opponents, who believed his daughters wouldn't have the opportunity to lead the clan well. Hayashi knew the clan had to remain pure. After all, the essence of a Hyuga was to possess the clan's characteristic eyes, the Byakugan. But he knew his daughters wouldn't stand a chance. From childhood, they had been kidnapped and often put in danger. He also realized throughout history that most of his descendants had committed incest, causing various disastrous results and unavoidable genetic problems that put some of his ninjas at a disadvantage. So it was truly inevitable, and he made a decision. The upright and old-fashioned Hayashi Hyuga wasn't going to make that mistake. Perhaps it was because of Ibuki, who had been subtly nagging him lately by making the Yamanaka clan's ninjas appear stronger in jutsu. This was because Ibuki had managed to form a group of scientists to research and create new jutsus that would teach his ninjas different ways to manipulate chakra. This was one of the most closely guarded secrets, but Ibuki himself accidentally revealed it when the ninjas of the Yamanaka clan had advanced in efficiency and effectiveness on S-rank missions, something incredible. Now he was plotting to marry him off to one of the clan members, but what did he hope to achieve? In the end, he wouldn't receive anything, and he didn't like the idea. Hayashi called Hinata. He was sure she wouldn't object when he proposed, have a child with Naruto. Hinata, what? Hayashi, I know what I'm asking is absurd, since I'm risking your reputation, but I believe it's necessary. Hinata, Dad, but I don't want to do it that way. Hayashi, I know your feelings for him are strong, and I'm sure with my help you can do it. Hinata, Naruto-kun is marrying Ino in 2 days, and I wouldn't want to separate them, because I want Naruto-kun's happiness. Hayashi looked at his daughter as coldly and harshly as his features allowed, but he relaxed and continued, Hayashi, we know that young Naruto is confused. Right now, he's struggling to get his entire inheritance, but I can delay the paperwork so that he's delayed long enough to make a deal with me. Hinata, Dad, but would you do that? Hayashi, that's right. I won't let someone like Naruto despise you, besides, it could be a great opportunity to change the perspective of the clan. Hinata, I don't think it's possible. You know the group of elders wouldn't like a woman from their clan to be a single mother. Hayashi, perhaps not, but if I can pressure them to waive that rule this time, the group of elders doesn't see what's happening, but I do. The world is changing. Soon there will be new ninjas with skills far superior to those of the old generation. We will all be forgotten, and in the end, the strongest will prevail and do with the world as they please. Naruto and Sasuke are those two monsters that no one will be able to face. The other nations are afraid to wage war against us because of them. That's why, if they leave or die, I would like to be sure that at least the Hyuga clan lives on in the blood of a new bearer. Hinata was sad. She didn't want to be used like that, especially not by her father. She was powerless. After all, her whole life she had been the one who obeyed without question, and the same would happen at this very moment. Between sobs, she said yes. Naruino. It was night, the stalls were set up, lights were turned on to illuminate their stands, while a blonde couple walked calmly but nervously. Of course, no one asked them the question, and no one doubted it. He assumed it was possibly because the council wanted to marry them off once and for all, something that irritated Naruto. Being manipulated like this was something he hated. But on the other hand, Ino's presence made him strangely feel better, as if the burden were now shared between them. Usually, he was the one who had to carry everything, but Ino had shown him with her attitude that it wasn't entirely necessary. She even told him that she would take care of the preparations with Tsunade and that he would only have to choose his outfit, nothing more. Naruto appreciated the gesture but refused, he also wanted to participate. And so, they both became engrossed in this struggle to achieve their goal, getting married. As they walked, they reminisced about their adventures together and everything that needed to be done for the wedding, especially the decorations. Naruto started complaining because no one was listening to him. He didn't have much experience with this sort of thing, as he didn't have very good taste. However, they did agree to the suggestion that ramen be served at the buffet for the guests, which cheered the blonde boy up. Naruto decided to call Irika and go shopping for his suit with him, while Ino would look at the dress with Tsunade and her mother, who cried when she saw how beautiful she looked. This also made Ino cry, but when she saw herself in a mirror, she realized she truly looked stunning. Tsunade, with this, you'll leave that idiot Naruto breathless. To which Ino smiled happily. After finishing his shopping, Naruto asked Irika if he could teach him to dance, which he accepted with a smile. Naruto tried, but he wasn't good. He even practiced later with Ino, but it was a fiasco, which made him commit to improving after all the time he had left. Besides that, the music, after distributing invitations to everyone, some personally, others with the help of others, as it would have taken too long otherwise, only the villagers were invited so that no one in other nations would know about the couple's marriage, and also to make it a more intimate affair. Their comrades were surprised to be invited by the ANBU to Naruto's wedding, who had orders to invite everyone on the list Tsunade had given them. Everything was, of course, rushed, but even under these circumstances, they would do their best. Tenten was the first to congratulate them and tried to insist that someone sing the wedding waltz, which intrigued Ino and Naruto, but they were even more surprised when they learned that Kiba would have the honor. On their last day, they decided to finalize the remaining details. The memory ended, and it was just a matter of them getting a good night's sleep since they were getting married tomorrow. Time flew by. It was absurd that they could do it in such a short time, but the money and venue were already arranged, so they assumed they had planned everything carefully, only lacking the bride to complete the scheme. Naruto, is the dress ready, Ino-chan? Ino, yes, Naruto-kun. Naruto, I think calling each other that is a little embarrassing. Ino, it doesn't bother me. Laughing, Naruto, you know, I'm glad it was you, Ino. Ino looked at the blonde boy, blushing. Ino, oh. Naruto, yep, I feel very comfortable with you. I really wish you would marry someone you love, but you agreed to marry me despite all the trouble I cause you. I'll really make it up to you. It's a promise. Ino looked at him, surprised by what he'd said. She knew Naruto could make her feel comfortable, but now she felt much safer. Thanks to his words, she understood she could always count on him, and above all, that he would never abandon her. After all, the boy's attitude and the little things he did didn't go unnoticed. Ino, and you never break your promises. Smiling, Ino, I had my doubts about whether this would work. I was afraid something would happen and that it would all end badly, but lately I've been really enjoying it. Naruto, I know it wasn't easy, especially since I haven't been a very good boyfriend, and also because, well, I've never been in a relationship. The girl's surprise was evident on her face, which was a mixture of bewilderment and astonishment. Ino, never, not even when you left the village, you know, you didn't have at least one girlfriend. Naruto looked at the girl apologetically. Naruto, what are you saying, Ino-chan? I wasn't with anyone. There were even times when I had to run away from some girls, but I couldn't reciprocate. I guess I'm just not very lucky with that. Ino smiled automatically. She knew that Naruto was the type of person who knew what he wanted, and she realized that the only person he wanted was Sakura, or at least at that moment that it wasn't unusual for him to think about Sakura, but he could think about someone else too. Ino, Naruto-kun, do you love Sakura? Naruto remained silent. Having to look Ino in the face was difficult. She knew he couldn't stop thinking about Sakura, she was the reason he hadn't been able to connect with a girl. But perhaps, with everything that had happened, he was finally taking the first step toward forgetting her. Naruto, I won't lie to you, what I felt for Sakura was very strong, but I think I'm already forgetting her, well, trying to. But don't ask me how I did it because I have no idea. I just know I want peace of mind. I want to be able to live my life without Sakura. Ino, Naruto, I've never heard you sound so serious and mature. Tell me, where's the real one, imposter? Naruto was taken aback by Ino's childish attitude, but then he started laughing along with her. Naruto, yeah, doesn't sound like me. Ino and Naruto continued walking and chatting. They stopped for a meal at a nice restaurant and then went to a park to continue their conversation. They were alone, there was no one else around. Naruto blushed at the situation, and an unexpected memory started to surface in his mind, like when Ino kissed him in the hospital when he was injured from the battle with Sasuke. He hadn't talked about it yet, but they brushed it aside, arguing about various things that ultimately didn't make sense. So, with all the courage he could muster, Naruto explained what was bothering him. Naruto, Ino-chan, I was wondering if you, well, not that I want to, but... Ino looked at the blonde boy nervously, he seemed very worried about something. Ino, tell me, what's wrong? Naruto, how would we do the kissing thing? Could we practice? Blushing nervously, Ino took a deep breath, it was crazy. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it would burst. Did Naruto like her? He was handsome, in her opinion, and his personality was slowly captivating him. Even if Sakura got upset, she wouldn't be able to stop looking at him. Then she remembered the kiss they shared and the thousands of stupid excuses they'd made during their conversation, but she couldn't help but take something away from that kiss. INO mustered her courage. INO, yes, we can, of course, it's for the purpose of continuing with the mission. Shyly and nervously, Naruto, yes, I agree. INO and Naruto stood face to face, and a wave of emotions shook their hearts. Letting themselves be carried away by the night, they melted into a sweet kiss that gradually increased in intensity. Naruto held INO by the waist, while she raised her arms to wrap around his neck. They remained like that, with no desire to stop. When they both experienced these kinds of situations, their true feelings surfaced. Sasusaku at a restaurant, Sakura and Sasuke had chosen a table in the center of the establishment. The place was tasteful, and Sasuke began to look at the dessert menu. Sakura was nervous about the situation, it was their first date. She had imagined it so many times, but making it a reality was another matter. Satisfied with the place, she began to browse the dessert menu. Sakura, the ice cream looks delicious, doesn't it, Sasuke-kun? Sasuke, Sakura, but the pudding is tastier, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke, Sakura, I think I'll choose the ice cream instead. Sasuke, Sakura, how was your day? Sasuke, I didn't do much, I was at home sleeping a bit. Sakura, okay, tell me, are you going on missions yet? Sasuke, I don't know, I haven't spoken to Lady Tsunade yet. Sakura, that's great, I know she'll send you on some good missions and you'll show everyone how great you are. Sasuke, I'm sure of it. The dishes were already served, and they both ate in silence. No matter how hard Sakura tried, she couldn't get much conversation going. She was used to being talked to all the time, so she struggled to find something to talk about. Sasuke could be very cold sometimes. She thought he was like that because of what happened with his abrupt escape, because of the news that Naruto was getting married, but the truth was that even though Sasuke tried, he wasn't very good at talking. He had been alone all his life, so he had gotten used to being so solitary. Things like inviting Sakura out were mostly to please her, since he wasn't one for going out much for these kinds of things. Sakura was lost in thought, wondering how things would look in her head. After the main course, dessert followed. Sakura made a few jokes about Kakashi and his excessive tardiness and laziness, but she couldn't make Sasuke laugh. He only managed to hum. Sakura had no choice but to address one thing. Sakura, I kissed Naruto. Cough cough. Sasuke choked on his ice cream. The news shocked him deeply, but outwardly, he acted as if nothing had happened. Sasuke stared at Sakura, waiting for her to continue. Sakura, I know, I'm sorry. I know I failed you. I just want you to know that I don't mean anything to you. Naruto and I have drifted apart. Sadly, Sasuke looked at Sakura, still unable to see or sense what was going through her mind. Sasuke, I just want to know one thing, do you love him? Sakura was nervous and knew that what she was about to say would change her future, but she couldn't hold it in any longer and with tears in her eyes said, I don't know. Sasuke got up from his chair to leave, but before he did, he turned to the table and said one last thing, Sasuke, Sakura, be happy. I hope you can get what you really want, even if it seems too late. Sasuke left, leaving Sakura behind. Sakura watched him sadly. Sasuke had made the decision for her, the mere act of walking away showed what he was thinking. Meanwhile, she continued eating her ice cream, sitting alone at her table, and for the first time, her favorite dessert, which was known for its sweetness, now tasted very salty. Sakura. A voice interrupted her thoughts. Sakura saw someone approaching and realized it was someone very familiar to her. Sakura, sigh. End of chapter 8, Long live the happy couple. Everyone present was attentive to the words of the judge, who was asking the most important question of the entire ceremony. Judge, Naruto Uzumaki, do you take INO Yamanaka to be your wife? to love and cherish her in sickness and in health, until death do you part. Naruto, I do. Judge INO Yamanaka, do you take Naruto Uzumaki to be your husband, to love and cherish him in sickness and in health, until death do you part? INO Yamanaka, yes, I do. Then, by virtue of the powers vested in me by the laws of the Hidden Leaf Village, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Everyone present, hooray for the happy couple. Woo-hoo. The ceremony had already concluded with the "I do" of the newlyweds, who greeted everyone with smiles, drinking and thanking them for being present, since although it was rushed, fortunately they were able to come. Naruto and Ino were enjoying the party, having drinks to calm their nerves. The newlyweds' first dance was still to come, something Naruto was very excited about. He had practiced a lot and wanted to show it off. He looked around for his friends, but of the Konoha 11 who weren't there, only Hinata, Sakura, and Sasuke were missing. He knew why Hinata and Sakura were absent, but Sasuke was another story. He thought he would come, but perhaps he didn't want to because of Sakura. In the end, they would wait for him, maybe he would come. Naruto, this tie is too tight. Ino, calm down, wait, let me fix it for you. Ino approached Naruto, slowly adjusting the tie. Her face drew closer to his, causing him to blush suddenly. Naruto, you know, Ino, I always thought you were pretty, but seeing you up close, you're truly beautiful. Ino was surprised by the blonde boy's comment. She knew she had put enough effort into her makeup and dress to be the center of attention at the party and provoke envy. After all, the wedding might be fake, but that didn't mean she shouldn't try, since for them it was real. Ino, you look handsome too, blushing. Ino, tell me, Naruto, do you think we could dance now? I'd like to. Naruto, don't worry, let's go. Naruto offered his hand to Ino, who gladly accepted it, and then they went to the dance floor, where Rock Lee was cheering them on, shouting, "That's it, Naruto." The two blondes danced a soft waltz composed by Kiba. That's right, the wildest ninja in Konoha composes romantic music. At the academy, he never told anyone because he thought his personality didn't match his songwriting, and to top it off, he sang. He let Tenten, who knew his secret, convince him to continue. He figured if anyone heard him, he'd leave the singles row. Naruto danced with such grace that more than one person was surprised. Shikamaru still thought it was a genjutsu, an illusion. That can't be, Naruto, he said. Meanwhile, Tenten's eyes sparkled at the way they danced and looked like a happy couple. They're perfect together, Tenten thought as Guy and Lee celebrated, raising their glasses, arm in arm, crying in anime style. Kakashi, who was present, decided to stand next to Tsunade, who smiled at the sight of the pair. Kakashi, for a fake wedding, you're really enjoying it, aren't you, Tsunade? How did you know? Kakashi, I suppose that's not surprising. It's easy to see if you pay attention. Tsunade, it's a secret. I trust you won't say anything. Kakashi, hey, who do you take me for? Smiling beneath his mask. Kakashi, I'll be going on a mission for a few more days. Do you think I'll be alright? Tsunade, of course, do you think I'll just leave everything that easy? There are still some things that need to be done. Kakashi, I'm entrusting Naruto to you. He's been a bit complicated, but his actions always surprise me. Tsunade, that's funny. I didn't think you'd be that kind of teacher. Kakashi, well, I haven't been one of the best senseis. After all, I think I'd like to repay my debt. Besides, I investigated the council, and they have a strange relationship with Ibuki. Tsunade, Ibuki, you know, it's strange. Nobody knows him, except that he took power as head of the Yamanaka clan. I also thought Ino would be the leader of her clan, but with her father's death, she wasn't emotionally ready at the time. Now, I could say she'd do a great job, but with Ibuki around, it would be impossible. Although, the real question is, how did he rise so quickly? Kakashi, we'll find out later, but there's something I want to know, how did Hinata take it? Tsunade, I don't know, I suppose he took it very well. It's strange, Hayashi was quiet, he didn't say much either, but well, we'll see later. INO was delighted by the dance, she liked the way Naruto held her waist and hand, making her eyes sparkle with excitement and her face ecstatic with the experience. Naruto prayed he wouldn't mess it up. He had practiced so much with Iruka that learning the Rasengan was easier than learning to have rhythm, but in the end, the effort had been worth it. He had impressed everyone, including INO, leaving the girl more than happy. Seeing her smile like that made him want to do everything possible to keep that smile on his face forever. He felt he had done something good and rejoiced in satisfaction until he fell in a vague attempt to keep up with the girl's rhythm. A gasp of surprise stifled the crowd as Naruto fell to the ground on his back. He rubbed his head and looked around at everyone who stared at him in dismay. They did very well, was the thought on everyone's mind, everyone except Naruto, who remembered his childhood and the countless times he'd seen similar stares, all directed at him. For a moment, he felt like a small child, crying because of his village's rejection, the constant teasing and bullying, and the loneliness he always felt for having no parents and having grown up an orphan. It was just that loneliness. Are you alright? A sweet voice interrupted all of Naruto's negative thoughts. His head was bowed, but upon hearing that soft voice, he lifted his face. Still sitting on the ground, wanting to stand, Ino's gaze dispelled all his fear, bringing him back to reality. Ino offered him her hand and, with a warm smile, said, "We haven't finished the dance yet." Naruto fearfully raised his hand, taking it in a gentle squeeze. He had no more doubts now. Whatever happened, even if they didn't end up together, he would always defend the woman by his side, offering her his hand, because just by holding her hand, he no longer felt so alone. Naruto hugged Ino, and they stayed like that for a few minutes, dancing in the same spot, both smiling at the situation. They had something that always united them in this way. The people chanted, "Long live the happy couple." The enthusiasm of the moment spread to everyone around them. They separated when the song ended. Everyone began congratulating them individually, the joy and the drinks were to be expected, while the two, holding hands, ended up looking at each other with complicity. After a few hours, Naruto was walking towards the buffet table where there were delicious appetizers when he heard a voice calling him. Naruto turned his head and upon seeing him, introduced himself, "Hi Naruto, my name is Ibuki, nice to meet you." Naruto, "Nice to meet you too." Ibuki, "The whole party is incredible, I'm having a great time, although not as much as the groom, Naruto." "You think so? I'm having fun, but tell me, do we know each other?" Ibuki, "No, not at all. Actually, I'm the leader of the Yamanaka clan." Naruto, "Phew, really? You're Ibuki?" Ibuki, "Yes, that's right. But I didn't think you'd forget me." Naruto, "Sorry, I'm not very good at remembering names." Ibuki, "It doesn't matter. I just wanted to express my gratitude. You know, you could have chosen any of the other clans, but you chose the Yamanaka clan." Naruto, "Well, I didn't do it out of self-interest, so it's okay." Ibuki, "It doesn't matter. Whatever made you make that decision, you know, I know peace is coming to other nations, so I'm helping by providing food supplies to those who have suffered in past wars or from the poverty of their villages. I'd like to make it up to them, but it's been difficult. Most people only look out for their own villages and leave everyone else to their fate." Naruto understood Ibuki's words. He knew it must be hard to survive in difficult times. He himself had experienced some poverty in his childhood, perhaps not so much because he had no money, but because the villagers wouldn't let him buy things, and he had to juggle things to survive. But the feeling was similar. Naruto, "Of course, you can count on it, but how would I help?" Ibuki, "Well, that's actually quite easy. You're going to be given a large fortune. You could use just a small portion of that fortune to buy the resources and help the people." Naruto, "Okay, but how much are we talking about? Because I don't know how much they'll give me yet. They haven't told me anything about it." Ibuki, "Don't worry, it's something we won't discuss today." In fact, to put your mind at ease and prevent you from getting the wrong idea, I'll talk to Tsunade so everything goes quickly and easily. Does that sound good? Naruto, yes, of course, then I accept. Ibuki, perfect, I like your attitude, Naruto, so enjoy the party and congratulations on your marriage. With your permission, Naruto, sure, that's fine. Ibuki left the place with a smile, leaving Naruto at the buffet. Naruto saw Ino approaching with a worried face. When they were face to face, Ino said, Naruto, Sasuke is here. He told me he wants to talk to you in private. Naruto, Sasuke. Naruto stared at Sasuke, who stood there without saying anything for a few seconds. He couldn't think of a reason why Sasuke had that attitude. He was looking at him as if he were deciphering something inside him. Sasuke, Dobe, congratulations on your marriage. Naruto, thank you very much, Sasuke, but what's going on? Sasuke, let's talk somewhere quieter. Naruto nodded at his friend's request and headed out of the party. What they didn't know was that someone was watching them. Ibuki was glancing at the duo as they left, and he smiled at what they might be talking about. Naruto was nervous. This was unusual for Sasuke, but he hadn't expected him to say that at that moment. Sasuke, Sakura loves you. Naruto rolled his eyes. What had he just said? Naruto, what are you saying, team? Don't talk nonsense and behave yourself. Sasuke smirked. He knew he had the blonde right where he wanted him. Sasuke, Sakura told me you two kissed. Naruto was shocked. Naruto, seriously? You, she said that? He felt something cold on his neck as he finished speaking, something he hadn't expected to see, and to his surprise, it was Sasuke's sword, drawn and pointed at him. Naruto, what the hell? Sasuke, I see you're still very confident, Naruto. That could cost you your life. Naruto, enough. Don't play with me. Pushing the sword away with his hand so it wouldn't be pointed at him, Naruto didn't know what to say. While he had thought that the kiss might have been a mistake, and that there would possibly be consequences, this situation hadn't crossed his mind. Naruto, okay, Sasuke, maybe you're right, but I don't think that's entirely true. She loves you. Sasuke, if she loved me, she wouldn't have kissed you, Naruto. Now his heart is racing. Naruto, so you know that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Sasuke, you know, Naruto, I knew it could happen, but I thought it would be when we were married and had kids. Naruto, you're a bastard. Sasuke, my only plan in the village is to revive my clan, but before that, I thought about whether I could have the chance to have someone special in my life, whether I could have a life with a partner, but I see that's not possible now. She has feelings for you, and I think it's better this way. Naruto, have you gone crazy? I'm married. Besides, why all the maturity? Sasuke, oh, believe me, I'm resisting the urge to kill you right there, unless I find out one little thing, you don't love Ino. Naruto, what are you saying? Sasuke, I've seen how you act when you're with Sakura, but with Ino it's different. Maybe you'll get there, but you still have a long way to go. Naruto, you have no right to tell me that, Sasuke. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll put myself on the clan restoration list. I'm going to revive my clan. Naruto, and Sakura won't be sad. Sasuke, I don't think so. I've already hurt her enough. I hope she decides what she really wants. It took me a day to think all this over, so it won't be long before she comes to the same conclusion as me. Naruto, what is it? Sasuke, I won't tell you. Naruto sighed. Sasuke, as for me, I'm leaving. I hope things go better for you than they did for me, Naruto. At least one of the three of us has to be happy. Naruto watched him disappear in a puff of smoke. He thought that what Sasuke said was his way of saying that everything was okay between them, but he felt nervous that he was plotting something. He couldn't stand it. But knowing him, it was just to play hard to get. Naruto returned to the wedding, exhausted. It was time to cut the cake, and the blonde-haired girl approached the most boisterous ninja in Konoha. Both were smiling and cut the cake in the presence of their friends and loved ones. Only a few people were missing, but she thought it was better that way. Sakura stood on a hill, watching the outdoor wedding reception. She gazed with a peaceful yet melancholic expression. Suddenly, Sasuke appeared behind her, which surprised Sakura. "Sakura, Sasuke-kun." "Sasuke, calm down. Tell me, shouldn't you be there?" "Sakura, do you think it would be wrong for me to go?" "Sasuke, I think it would be wrong not to say hello." Sakura was dressed in her ninja attire. She wasn't ready for the occasion and didn't want to arrive and inconvenience those present, so she didn't get ready. Instead, she watched from afar to see what was happening. "Sakura, tell me, what will happen to us?" "Sasuke, there's not much to say. You can do whatever you want with your life." "Sakura, I see. Are you leaving again?" "Sasuke, yes, I don't belong here." "Sakura, I didn't realize you don't talk much." "Sasuke, I think you got used to a different kind of person." Sakura laughed slightly. "Sakura, Sasuke, I loved you so much that I couldn't breathe because of the fact that I lost you the day you left. It was the worst thing I ever had to go through, mostly because I couldn't do anything to prevent it. But now that we're grown up, it's different. I can live without you now, without your image. Now all I want is for us to be okay." Sasuke stares at Sakura, impassive as always. "Sasuke, it's fine by me. I think that in the end all the damage I did somehow fades away. I don't blame you for anything. All I want is for us all to be better." "Sakura, I hope so too." "Sasuke, I'll be going. See you, Sakura." "Sakura, goodbye, Sasuke-kun." Disappearing in a puff of smoke. End of Chapter 9, Information. A few days had passed since their wedding, where the main characters went on their honeymoon, while the others were off on missions and going about their lives during those 2 weeks. Lady Tsunade was aware of some ninjas who had infiltrated villages lacking ninja protection and had made deals with other villages to sell powerful weapons or sealed scrolls. How they obtained them was a mystery. The situation was mainly about weapons. The village needed to stock up on kunai, shuriken, and other supplies. They had suppliers who came to the village to offer them, but transport was difficult because they were constantly being robbed. At first, it was thought to be just a minor squabble by thieves, but then a rumor spread that Konoha's weapons were being sold to other countries, enraging many. Not only that, but some scoundrels were also selling mineral resources meant for them. Some ninjas were sent to intercept these rebels, so they requested some minerals to be transported to Konoha, while a ninja team would watch until they arrived at the village. Kakashi, along with Hinata, Kiba, and Shino, would be the group escorting the cargo. This was to be expected since they could be of great help in detecting the enemy. The place where they were was full of trees, with only a path running down the center. When Kiba's nose caught a particular scent, everyone got into fighting stances, ready to attack as soon as the bandits appeared. And indeed they did. They were strange. They didn't wear headbands, they were only dressed in black, and they carried weapons like shurikens and kunai. However, what seemed strangest to him was that one of them performed a quick hand seal, and all the people they were transporting froze, motionless, doing nothing. Kakashi saw this as a problem. What kind of jutsu could do something like that? His Sharingan saw the hand seals, so he tried to make them, but he couldn't. It was strange. That's when Hinata told him that 3 had appeared, but 3 more were hidden. He understood the warning. Kiba launched a quick attack in conjunction with Akamaru's double wolf fang fist, hitting the one who had used the mind control jutsu and those carrying the merchandise. One of them started moving his eyes, which was odd since they were still immobile, but now they could move their eyes. Kakashi ordered Sino to take the civilians to safety while Hinata went to fight the hiding ninjas. Some of them were fast, especially the 3 fighting Kiba. When Kakashi arrived, they faced off in a kunai duel, where one of them pierced his shoulder. Kiba was fighting 2 ninjas while Kakashi was fighting 1. Since Kiba and Akamaru were coordinated, they were going to win. One of the rebel ninjas made a quick hand seal, fire jutsu, fireball. The explosion was strong, but when it dissipated, the two were gone. Kiba, up here. They were above them, at such a speed that they couldn't even notice. Kiba, beast clone jutsu. Both of them moved with speed, destroying the ninjas in front of them enough to knock them out of the fight with severe bleeding, but not to the point of death. Kakashi had finished with the other one, but when he saw that Hinata hadn't appeared, he realized that Shino hadn't either. Both Kakashi and Kiba went in their direction. The civilians were walking, which surprised Kakashi and Kiba. It was strange that they could do that, but he surmised that perhaps the jutsu was a coordinated effort, and that's why, even though he managed to distract one, the others continued with the jutsu. But when Hinata arrived, perhaps they stopped using it, and that's why they were able to move. Hinata managed to strike the rebel ninjas hard, who were in shock, not so much because of the girl, but because of Shino's insects, which seemed to be something essential. Suddenly, one of them chewed something and died seconds later. The same thing happened to the others. When Kakashi and Kiba arrived, they found this scene. Right now, they had no answers except for those they had left behind. They all went after them, but the same thing happened. She didn't know how, but this would surely mean more paperwork. She should have suspected that these guys must work for an organization, but to the point of killing each other was unbelievable, but how they did it was the question. All she could see was foam coming out of their mouths, so she assumed it must be poison. All for nothing. In the end, they had to continue their journey with the civilians who were bringing the packages to Konoha in their carriages. Right now, they would go with them, camping for a night to reach the village. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sakura was nervous. All her friends were talking about Naruto and Ino's wedding. She didn't know what to say except, "It's good that they're together," or other things like, "Congratulations to the couple." She didn't want her true thoughts to be revealed. She had to take some papers to Lady Tsunade's office. She was sure it would be something routine, but when she opened the door, she saw Shizune and Tsunade talking about something important because when she entered, they both fell silent. "Tsunade, come in, Sakura." "Sakura, good afternoon, Lady Tsunade. I've come to deliver these reports." Tsunade, "Very well, leave them there." "Thank you." Sakura said goodbye to the two as they continued talking. When she closed the door, she couldn't help herself and decided to eavesdrop on their conversation. Deceiving Lady Tsunade in secrecy was difficult, but being her disciple and knowing her very well, she knew she was a little tipsy, so her senses were heightened by the sake bottle she kept in her drawer. Although it wasn't noticeable, she was capable of resisting it, but anything could be an advantage for her, so with complete skill, she began to listen at the door. "Shizune, do you think she did the right thing letting those two get married?" "Tsunade, what could I do? The council asked for it. I had no choice but to find someone to marry Naruto. That way, she could receive his inheritance. At least they'll both be okay, they know each other, and I'm sure they can work something out." "Shizune, why tell me? I'm not supposed to tell just anyone." "Tsunade, listen, I need you to look at the paperwork. If I do it myself, it'll be suspicious. Besides, I consider you trustworthy. After all, I can always count on you." "Shizune, well, anything to help Naruto. Although I'd already gotten my hopes up. Can you imagine if those two fell in love?" "Tsunade, I doubt it, but as they say never." Sakura disappeared from there. She went straight to her office. She was distraught. So Naruto's marriage was fake. Does that mean I have a chance? Sakura, that idiot. I was deceived, and my best friend. I took a deep breath and told myself, calm down, Sakura, it's okay, keep a cool head. I guess that's an advantage, but why was I lied to? Because of an inheritance? What happened? Why am I missing? Something's not right, and I need to know. Maybe I need help from someone who knows, maybe Sai. Flashback, Sai was talking to Sakura at the restaurant. They were discussing what had happened between her and Sasuke. He'd heard that Naruto had kissed Sakura or something like that, according to the pink-haired girl. He was devastated. He knew he'd lost INO over pure stupidity. The missions he'd had weren't easy, mostly espionage and reconnaissance, gathering information to help the village deal with new threats, keeping him busy and away from news from Konoha. He still doubted Naruto and Ino's relationship. It was so rushed that even he didn't buy it. Sakura finished explaining, and Sai stopped thinking. In short, Sakura was now confused. Sai, well, Sakura, you and Naruto were together for too long. I honestly thought you two would end up together. Sakura, what are you saying? Are you serious, Sai? Of course, my book says that. Sakura, don't tell me any more, you need to stay away from those stupid books. Sai, that's my way of seeing the world, but that doesn't matter, the point is that you love Naruto. Sakura, no, that's not true. Sai, why do you refuse to accept it? You know it's true. Sakura, because if I didn't deny it, then what's happening would hurt me a lot. Sai, more than you already are. I don't think so, but if you decide to, I think I could help you. Sakura, are you serious? But why? Sai, well, I'd like you two to be together. It's something I always saw, in all the moments we spent together on missions. Sakura, thanks, Sai, but I don't know, I think it's too late. Sai, well, maybe it is, but it's strange that you two got married so suddenly. I thought you'd take your time. Sakura, well, I think something's going on, but you don't want to tell me. Do you think you can find out? Sai, well, it wouldn't be that difficult for me, I suppose I could do it. Sakura, I'm hesitating about doing it right now. Do you think you could give me some time to think about it? Sai, of course, no problem, although I don't know what to think about Naruto. I mean, it seems like he still loves you. Sakura, why do you say that? Sai, he kissed you, didn't he? Sakura, well, that was because. Sai, it doesn't matter. I think if it's true, that relationship will end, but time will tell. Sakura, Sai, do you still like INO? Sai, yes. End of flashback. It had gotten dark enough for the ninjas to make a campfire and take turns keeping watch all night. They were a little uneasy since they were now going to Konoha without any information. First, it was Kakashi, then Simo, Kiba, and finally Hinata. It was already Kiba's turn when Hinata got up to take her turn. Kiba wasn't very sleepy yet, he had rested well, and the soldier pill still gave him strength, and more than anything, he didn't want to leave Hinata alone. They started a conversation about everyday things, but every time they talked, it was clear that something was bothering the girl. Kiba noticed this and decided to start the conversation by talking about Naruto. Hinata was silent, she didn't have much to say except that she was happy Naruto had found the love of his life. But Kiba wasn't going to let this go. Something was bothering her, and she needed to know what it was. Perhaps it was their marriage. He wanted her to let out her true feelings because, despite his fierce personality, he was very empathetic with his teammates, especially Hinata, who was shy by nature. He felt obligated to protect her. They were sitting leaning against a tree. Kiba, I think you should let your feelings out. Otherwise, keeping all that inside will drive you crazy. Hinata, Kiba-kun. Kiba, stop pretending to be strong. I know it hurts. Just let it out and tell me what's wrong. Hinata, I don't think I can. It's a family secret. Kiba, oh yeah. Well, I think you should think about it some more. We're a team, we're here to help each other, and we care about you, Hinata. Your family is very strict. I don't think anyone understands you better than we do right now. Hinata knew the nature of her relationship with her team. They had faced missions together since childhood, each protecting their partner. It was very clever of Kiba to evoke such nostalgia in her. They had led very different lives. On one hand, she had to be obedient to her clan, without question, accepting all their conditions. Perhaps that caused her shyness, not being able to do what she wanted made her self-conscious. On the other hand, Kiba was very open-minded, saying whatever came to mind, even when he was rude, without apologizing. But that was something she liked about her partner, who was her complete opposite. Hinata knew she could count on Kiba and Shino. They had been through a lot together, and those kinds of things aren't forgotten, so treating each other with familiarity was common between them. Hinata, my father wants me to have a child with Naruto. Kiba, what? Hinata, shut up, you'll wake everyone up. Kiba covered his mouth and saw that no one was waking up, which was a relief. However, there was someone who wasn't sleeping. Hearing everything, Kakashi woke up, but decided not to interrupt their conversation. Still lying down, trying to sleep, he kept an eye on his surroundings. Kiba, are you really going to do it? Hinata, well. I don't know. I'd like to think not, but my father said that if I don't, he'll marry me off to someone from another branch as punishment, so I don't have a choice. At least I'll have something nice, don't you think? A child of Naruto. Kiba, have you lost your mind? Do you know what you're saying? You can't do that. Your father's mentally unstable. If you like someone, go for it, but don't do that to them. Do it fairly. Don't tie them down like that. Hinata, yes, I wish it were different too, but then what would I do? My father has a lot of influence. You don't know how he acts. He can be intimidating. Hinata cried to herself. She didn't want to wake anyone, but the tears flowed uncontrollably. Kiba saw her devastated, facing an uncertain future. Kiba, oh no, this can't be, this is bad, but I promise I'll think of something. Hinata, Kiba-kun, what do you plan to do? Kiba, leave it to me, maybe I can talk to the Hokage. Hinata, no, don't. Kiba, Hinata, but. Hinata, I know it must be very easy for you to break the rules or help others, but I'm not like that. I wouldn't make other people sacrifice themselves for me. All I want is power. Kiba, come on, Hinata, say it. Hinata, I want to do what I want. Kiba, Hinata, not so loud. Hinata fell silent abruptly again. They had shouted, but this time Kakashi decided to get up. Kakashi, what's going on? Kiba, nothing, don't worry, we're just talking. Kakashi, well, I think I can cover for you if you want. Kiba, it's not necessary, I still have energy. Sleep well, I'll take care of it. Kakashi watched Hinata turn her face away in embarrassment, so he decided to go and sleep a little longer. Hinata, thank you, Kiba-kun. Kiba, you're welcome, Hinata-chan. This made Hinata blush since the nickname was very affectionate, and more than anything, that's what Naruto called her, but this time it was Kiba who called her that. Kiba and Hinata were sitting in a tree, where they had talked all night, and in the blink of an eye, Hinata fell asleep, feeling better. She put her head on Kiba's shoulder, which the ninja took advantage of to hug her and help her sleep better on his chest. Sometimes he could watch her sleep and not feel sleepy at all. Just by looking at her, I could see that Hinata was truly beautiful. End of Chapter 10, Obligation. Kakashi's team was arriving at the gates of Konoha along with the merchants. After completing the entry formalities, they safely left the civilians with the packages and said their goodbyes. The team then split up, with Kakashi tasked with delivering the information to the Hokage while the others returned to their respective homes. Hinata walked alongside Shino and Kiba, but Shino drifted away slightly when he saw a flower shop. It was only a second before his friends disappeared. They forgot about me, Shino said. Kiba and Hinata continued walking until, at one point, Hinata dared to speak to Kiba. Hinata, don't tell anyone about this. Kiba, Hinata, I still think we can do something. You don't need to do this. Your father can't force you. Hinata, I know it's hard to accept, but when the clan chief decides something, it has to be done. Besides, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me, and thank you for listening. Smiling sadly, Kiba, don't talk nonsense. What's with this attitude? I know very well how you feel right now, Hinata, because I've known you for a long time, and I know that what you want is to run away from home. Hinata, no. That's not true. Kiba, admit it. Whenever we went on missions to other villages, I felt that you didn't want to come back, that all you wanted was to stay. But something always made you change your mind, or am I wrong? Look me in the eyes and tell me it's not true. Kiba stared intently at Hinata. They were looking at each other with intensity. When Hinata looked away, she knew that what Kiba said was partly true, but she didn't know how to express it. So many years bound by the rules of the submissive woman hadn't allowed her to have opinions or use her true feelings. As the elder, she was expected to have that upbringing, while her sister was only just beginning to be raised. She feared that she would become like her, so she decided to run away from the village and have another life so that when that happened, she could at least give her a safe place. But what place is safe when the Hyuga are fearsome ninjas? And she didn't want to cause any more trouble, she already had enough with her own family. Hinata, Kiba-kun. Kiba, yes. Hinata, if you promise me you won't say anything, I'll think about it, and I'll confront my father. But for now, don't tell anyone. I told you because I trust you completely. Kiba, okay, I won't tell anyone, but if anything happens, I'll speak up. Hinata, okay. Saying goodbye, they both went their separate ways home. Hinata was arriving home when the servants opened the door. She greeted everyone until she reached her room, where she took a bath. After that, she went to eat with her father and sister. She was sure he would ask her about the mission, which he did. Without further ado, she said that they had protected the civilians and that Kakashi had gone to report to the current Hokage. Hayashi saw his daughter looking listless, without much enthusiasm, so he assumed she was still sad about the matter they had discussed earlier. It was already late afternoon when they were eating, around 1 o'clock, when her sister prepared to do her other duties, leaving Hayashi with Hinata. They both needed to discuss the matter. He was determined that Hinata would go on the mission, but she looked up fiercely at her father. Hayashi's face showed surprise, but he didn't let it influence him, so he put on his most terrible face. Now it was just a matter of figuring out what was wrong. Hayashi, may I ask why you're looking at me like that? Hinata, Dad. I don't want to do it. Hayashi, you know this isn't up for discussion. I already spoke with the council of elders within our clan, and they agreed. Hinata, they agreed? Hayashi, that's right. Apparently, they know that Naruto is the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and that he will inherit his property and possibly become Hokage. It doesn't matter if your son isn't pure-blooded, what's important now is having prestige. That could be the foundation for our rise to power. Hinata, wait, Dad. I don't know if they agreed, they are the worst. Hayashi, why are you angry? You're going to have a child with the boy you love. Besides, they'll pass up the opportunity to marry you off to someone from another branch of the clan. You know that most women in the clan are forced into marriages of convenience. If you have Naruto's child, that wouldn't apply to you, and you'll have some advantages, like being able to choose your fiancé from outside the clan. Hinata, are you serious? You say I could marry whomever I wanted, Hayashi? That's right. Hinata was stunned. She knew that the female ninjas of her clan couldn't choose their husbands, that was part of her unease, and that every woman in her clan had to go through that. But now she was being told that she could have a child with the man she loved, and that the council of elders, the strictest and most conservative in the clan, was accepting it. And furthermore, after that, she could live her life in peace. It was too good to be true. Hinata didn't know what to say. She remained silent, thinking about her position. What should she do? Accept? It would be tempting to do it. With the full support of the clan, she thought there might be a chance. The reason she was crying was that the Hyuga clan was the most ruthless with its rules, and they wouldn't allow this kind of thing, but for some reason, they did. Perhaps her father's influence or something else made them reconsider. But what about love? Could she live with that with someone who would surely hate her after what she was about to do? But what did she have left? She'd already lost him. She wouldn't have any more chances to love, at least that's what she thought. Hayashi, Hinata, think about it. It's a unique opportunity. I know this is a difficult decision, but I trust you'll do the right thing. Hinata, yes, father. At the hospital, Sakura was trying to organize everything. She was finishing her shift and would take the entire afternoon off because she needed to think about what to do next. She decided to do this in the presence of a friend. Upon leaving, she looked for Sai at his apartment, and to her surprise, he was there. They decided to talk inside. The place was tidy, with furniture, a table, and a television. A little further back, there was a bedroom and a bathroom. It was the first time he had been there, so Sai was excited to have a friend in his home. They continued with a lunch that Sai had prepared, which he shared with Sakura. Sai, so, what brings you here? Sakura, I know the truth, Sai. Naruto married INO for convenience. Sai, really? Sakura, yes, those idiots got married to inherit a fortune or something. I don't have the details, but I know that Naruto and INO's marriage is fake, so I need your help. Sai, this is bad. So, does INO know about this, or are they both in on it? Sakura, Sai, listen to me. I'm sure you both know, but I need your help. Why did Naruto marry INO? There must be a reason. I'm begging you, or rather, you owe me. You're obligated. Sai, calm down, Sakura. Don't exaggerate. I know you're upset right now, but if you need to vent, do it another way. Sakura, I'm sorry, it just makes me furious that no one told me. Doesn't Naruto trust me? We're a team. Sai, if what you're saying is true. Sakura, do you doubt it? Sai, I'll investigate then. I want to know too. At least if we look at the clues, we can figure this out. Sakura, okay, Sai. I just hope you two aren't up to anything bad. Sai, no one can know this. Something must have happened for no one to find out. If more people know, we could probably ruin whatever those two are doing. Sakura sighed, the tension she'd built up since hearing the news was about to burst. Venting was definitely good for her, even if she'd overreacted a bit by treating Sai that way. But oh well, nobody's perfect, she said. Sai was intrigued. If what Sakura said was true, then he was sure something was going on, and from what it seemed, possibly something important. Sakura, sorry for interrupting so abruptly. I just wanted to talk to someone about this, and the only person I could think of was Sai, Sakura, yes. Sai, I really appreciate your trust, and I'm on your team too, so you can count on me. Sakura, Sai, thank you. You're a really great friend. Sai looked at her with affectionate eyes. He finally felt like he had a friend. He knew they were teammates, but he couldn't say that he, Sakura, and Naruto were friends. Sai was tearing up. Sakura, what's wrong? Was it something I said? Sai, no, it's just that nobody had told me I was their friend. Sakura, Sai, in an affectionate voice, Sakura, I'll always be there for you, Sai. Sai, thank you. A few more days had passed, completing the week. After her conversation with her father, Hinata finally made up her mind and accepted, perhaps out of obligation, perhaps out of self-interest, or for something greater. She wanted to believe it was obligation, so she could feel better knowing it wasn't her decision, that someone was forcing her. But she was lying to herself, she wanted this. Now she had many more advantages than before. What she didn't know was that the council had agreed to her having a child with Naruto, but she wouldn't raise it herself. Instead, other people would use it as a personal weapon. Furthermore, at a certain point, they planned to blackmail Naruto to gain access to the jutsu of his family, the Uzumaki and Namikaze families, among other things. That's why they decided Hinata could marry someone else as compensation. Of course, her father didn't know this. He knew the council had deliberated privately and that they would, of course, follow his plan to create new ninjas by forming families with others. But the council didn't see it that way, so they wanted to replace the leader, perhaps using Naruto's child to achieve that goal. And destroy the main branch of the clan, destroy Hayashi Hyuga and remove him from power. Hinata, she began training with the female ninjas of her clan so she could seduce Naruto, but every time a ninja transformed into Naruto passed by, she fainted or became too nervous to speak. The problem was that Hinata's innocence and honesty betrayed her, so she had to correct that. Little by little, she began training, at least in terms of acting like a different person, no longer the shy Hinata, but a different kind of girl. Kiba was nervous, he hadn't heard from Hinata, so one day he went to her house to visit her. When one of the maids called her, she went to the door to speak with him, greeting him cordially. But when they asked her about their conversation regarding telling her father that she didn't want to do his bidding, she said she had stood up to her father and that although it was difficult, she managed to convince him. That pleased Kiba, but it was strange. Hinata understood his expression and said something Kiba didn't think she could say, "I'm getting married, Kiba." Kiba, what? Hinata, that's right, I'm getting married soon, to a handsome young man from the clan. Kiba, no, that's not true. How can you get married so soon? Hinata, the thing is, I met him years ago. He's always been good to me, so now I've decided to accept him as my fiancé. It will be a new beginning. Kiba, Hinata, are you sure about what you're doing? Hinata, yes, of course. Don't worry, Kiba. At least I'm feeling better now. Smiling, Kiba, alright, although it's a little confusing that you're acting this way. I'll respect your decision. Then I'll say goodbye. See you later, Hinata, and if you need anything, count on me. Hinata nodded, seeing that Kiba was about to leave. She closed the door and saw a female ninja from her clan nod, saying, "Good work." Hinata had lied for the first time in her life. She thought she could be a different kind of person, only this time, she didn't know if she would like her. Kakashi was talking to Tsunade about how they had handled the mission. They were sure that what happened there would happen again, but this time, they would do better. Now that they knew how they operated, they would have to infiltrate to see how they could discover the base of those ninjas. He handed her the scroll where he had written their descriptions from beginning to end, some of their abilities, and the outfits they wore. Tsunade thought that if they could replicate the outfits so they could infiltrate, it would be a good idea, but when they asked her about what they discussed regarding telling her father she didn't want to do his bidding, she said she had confronted him and, although it was difficult, she managed to convince him. This pleased Kiba, but it was strange. Hinata understood his expression and said something Kiba never thought she'd say, "I'm getting married, Kiba." Kiba, what? Hinata, that's right, I'm getting married soon, to a handsome young man from the clan. Kiba, no, that's not true. How can you get married so soon? Hinata, the thing is, I met him years ago. He's always been kind to me, so now I've decided to accept him as my fiancé. It will be a new beginning. Kiba, Hinata, are you sure about what you're doing? Hinata, yes, of course, don't worry Kiba, at least I'm feeling better now. Smiling, Kiba, okay, although it's a little confusing that you're acting this way, I'll respect your decision. Then I'll say goodbye. See you later, Hinata, and anything you need, count on me. Hinata nodded, seeing that Kiba was about to leave. She closed the door and saw a female ninja from her clan nod, saying to her, "Good job." Hinata had lied for the first time in her life. She thought she could be a different kind of person, only this time, she didn't know if she would like her. Kakashi was talking to Tsunade about how they had gone on the mission. They were sure that what happened there would happen again, but this time, they would do better. Now that they knew how they operated, they would have to infiltrate to see how they could discover the base of those ninjas. He handed her the scroll where he had written their descriptions from beginning to end, some of their for some reason, the fact that these strange ninjas were a little closer to Konoha made Kakashi uneasy. He calmed the woman and told her that he had leads and, above all, that he would be on the lookout since he was the most suitable person. He had been away from the village and had met some people who could provide information. It was only a matter of days. Tsunade ordered Kakashi to go, so he nodded and said goodbye before leaving the village for a few days. On their honeymoon, Naruto was happy with the hotel they had chosen. He was so excited that he decided to go inside as quickly as possible and try out the bed. The bed was so soft, it didn't compare to the one at home. INO smiled at the boy's attitude. He was like a little kid. She was sure that her room was a complete mess compared to theirs. It was a bridal bed, and the place had good lighting. INO was excited, as well as tired from the trip. She wanted to sleep. They had considered spending time in separate beds, but it wasn't possible. This one had already been reserved. So they decided to take it. They were certain nothing would happen between them. After all, they had an obligation to complete the mission. Kiba had run away from home for the last time. He was so motivated to continue his training that he neglected all his household chores so he could train with his canine friend. They were at their training ground, honing their senses to improve their attack. After a few hours, he collapsed, exhausted. As his friend lay down beside him, Kiba remained sprawled, thinking about Hinata. For some strange reason, he still felt unsure if she had told him the truth. If it were up to him, he would marry Hinata if she asked him to. Kiba's biggest secret wasn't composing romantic music, but falling in love with someone impossible, someone who hadn't forgotten a certain blonde boy, or so it seemed until recently. No. His biggest secret was that he was in love with Hinata, the Hyuga heiress, the prettiest girl in Konoha. Even prettier than INO, who called herself that, but Hinata was attractive as well as very capable. Her true strength was evident in battle. Although few knew this side of her, he had spent enough time with her to know her better than anyone, even better than her father. Now all he could do was wait. He had lost her when she was still in love with Naruto, and now he had lost her again, since she was marrying someone else. Why couldn't he be honest and tell her how he felt when he had a chance? Something always came up to stop him. Maybe that was the story of his life, but he knew that this time he would have to be clearer. He was a liberal guy who didn't care what people said, but when it came to love, even he could get discouraged when the time came. Hinata was practicing her fighting style. When the time came, other people came to teach her how to talk to men. Some boys would come over, and they'd have her talk for over half an hour, trying to get her to loosen up and find topics of conversation. It was difficult for her. She'd only spoken to two people before, Kiba and Shino, but mostly Kiba, since Shino didn't talk much. Now she had to start talking to other people. It was something new for her, but the conversations she had weren't very fun because she'd fall silent from time to time. They continued practicing for a few more days, and when she gradually started to loosen up, they began to increase the level. This time it would be a more flirtatious conversation. Interacting like that made Hinata blush. She knew she had to be brave to talk like that. Little by little, she continued her training, but it was strange, she didn't feel very different. Maybe it was because she'd spent so many days at home without going on missions or seeing her teammates. Kiba and Shino sometimes knocked on the door, but she always answered, saying she was busy with her duties and couldn't go out, which they both accepted. Hinata was able to continue training her behavior and how to seduce some men. The pinnacle was transforming into another woman with her jutsu, going out with the girls who taught her how to flirt with men to some bars. Nothing out of the ordinary for them, but it was all new to Hinata. She was sure she was going to mess it up, but surprisingly, it came naturally to her. The real reason was that the change wasn't immediate, so she didn't feel it. Instead, it was gradual until she transformed into another person. Some asked her to go to a hotel or her house, but she refused and told them later that her friends were waiting for her. That's how, little by little, she loosened up, and to the pride of the new friends she had made, the ninjas who had taught her, they started toasting. Hayashi was furious to see her drunk, but he couldn't reprimand her because she fainted at that very moment from all the alcohol she drank at the bar. She still didn't control drinking like that, but it was a matter of her mere whim to do it that way, so she wouldn't have to put up with her father. Naruto and Ino were lying in bed, both thinking about what had happened. They were sure everything had gone well, so they started talking, since they couldn't sleep. The excitement of the party and especially the long trip they had taken was exciting, even if it wasn't a real wedding. Ino, the whole wedding was lovely. I liked that our friends had fun. I swear I was nervous that something would happen to ruin the wedding. Naruto, yeah, tell me about it, I fell. Ino laughed. Ino, that's right, you fell pretty badly, but I liked that you weren't held back by the embarrassment. Naruto, how could I? I have you to help me up. Ino blushed, but she knew Naruto was just teasing, so she decided to play along. Ino, with a beautiful girl like me, anyone would get up. Naruto, you feel very confident, don't you? Ino, of course, who else besides me could be the prettiest in Konoha? Naruto, Tenten is pretty too, and she's got a better figure. Ino got angry at the comment. Ino, what do you mean, Tenten? It's true that she's always been in shape since she was a kid, but I've improved too. I even eat better to build muscle. After all, I'm a ninja. Naruto, I'd forgotten how vain you can be sometimes. Laughing, Ino, well, she's the wife you chose. Naruto, I wouldn't change her. Ino blushed again. Ino, well, you're not so bad yourself. Naruto, oh yeah. Ino approached Naruto, their faces were looking towards each other as they drew closer. Ino, that's right, you're handsome, funny, and if I get any closer, I'd say your whiskers are adorable. Naruto swallowed hard. Was it her words or the way Ino was getting so dangerously close to his lips? Ino kept getting closer, her forehead touching Naruto's, and her lips hesitated to move any further. Ino, but you know, I noticed something. I make you nervous when I get this close, right? Naruto was in shock. He didn't know what to say. Was she playing around? He knew she'd gone too far, but this was it. Naruto, Ino-chan, if you get so close, it makes anyone nervous. Ino, yeah, of course, but what are you going to do about it? Can you push me away if you want? Do you want to? Naruto felt his heart racing. He was sure he couldn't push her away like that, and above all, his breathing was getting faster too. Naruto, no. Naruto moved closer. He wasn't a child anymore, he knew what this was about, but he didn't want to lose Ino because of misunderstandings. Above all, he didn't want to hurt her feelings. He was still wondering if she could be the girl for him. Was this the mission, or what could be making him act this way? He stared intently at Ino. The girl, on the other hand, was thinking, why don't you kiss me, idiot? Something as simple as this kind of approach could be more than enough to drive a man crazy, but that wasn't the case with Naruto. Was she sure she could be the ideal girl for him? She hadn't accepted it before, with everything they'd been through, but little by little, she began to fall in love with Naruto. Now, she felt like her body was in control. She wanted to hug and kiss him, even though her head was telling her no. But she decided to risk it, even making a joke, but she decided to stay put to see what Naruto would do. Naruto was still thinking, but his mind hit rock bottom when Ino turned around, revealing the back of her neck to a confused Naruto. He heard her say, "Good night." To which Naruto replied, "Good night." End of chapter 11, Naruto. Naruto and Ino were strolling through the village. The journey to this unknown village they had entered was beautiful. According to sources, it was very expensive, not only because no one knew about it, only those with money could visit, but also because it was exclusive, thanks to the clans who had the luxury of such things, and they were going to enjoy it. Naruto went to the river to bathe while Ino accompanied him. Ino was wearing a bikini she had bought in the village, she looked beautiful and it suited her perfectly, making Naruto blush deeply when she took off her clothes. Of course, the bikini was underneath her clothes, so watching her change in front of him was rather flirtatious. "Ino, are you okay?" Naruto, "Yes." "Ino, and how do I look?" Naruto, "You look beautiful, Ino-chan." "Ino, thank you." Blushing, the scenery was beautiful, even the trees were different, since the ones they cultivated were brought from other places. They were sure they wanted to continue their walk, even go treasure hunting in the ruins of some mountains, where they gave tours explaining that precious metals had been extracted there for years, but that they were depleted due to all the work they did, leaving them with nothing. But it was very beautiful because sometimes you could see a blue color in the rocks, which they explained were crystals that had no value except for illuminating the cave. Ino was curious about the metals, but Naruto told her that if they continued, they could see if it was really true that there were no more precious stones. Perhaps if he found something, he could give it to Ino. Ino smiled and went with Naruto to accompany him. After the excursion, they went to buy some things. Naruto saw a very pretty ring in a shop. In the village, it wasn't necessary to buy rings to get married, it was just a matter of asking for her hand in marriage. But Naruto thought it would be a good idea to buy her one, but with the trip and everything else, he couldn't, so he went to the shop without Ino noticing, leaving a clone in her place to distract her. After all, this mission was only for the real Naruto. He approached the shop and told the man about the ring in the window, showing his smile. He took out his Gamachan, frog wallet. Taking out the money he had to buy the ring, when he had it, he went to Ino, with an empty wallet, but with a smile on his face and satisfaction in his heart. He was sure she would like it. Ino was walking with Naruto's clone when the clone disappeared. Ino panicked, she'd been walking with a clone the whole time. She frantically turned her head, searching for Naruto. When she found him, he was walking towards her, waving his hand. Ino ran towards him angrily, ready to scold him, when Naruto stopped her dead in her tracks, holding up his left hand as if to silence her. Naruto's smile, and especially the fact that his right hand was behind her back, made Ino speechless, more out of curiosity than anything else. "Naruto, Ino, I know this must have been very difficult for you, and you probably could have refused, but I'm truly grateful to you. You've become a special person to me. Seeing you every day fills me with motivation, and I'd like to give you something I should have given you a long time ago." Naruto took his hand from behind his back and opened the box, which contained some rings. Ino was delighted with the gift, hiding her surprise with one hand. "Ino, Naruto, you." Naruto approached Ino and took her left hand, gently placing the ring on her ring finger. It fit perfectly. This last part made him nervous, but luckily it was a coincidence. Ino was covering her mouth with her right hand, this was very unusual in her life. She was sure that the emotion wouldn't pass for a few days. She didn't know what to do or say, only tears were flowing. Naruto kept holding her hand. He'd thought about it all night, the night Ino had turned her head to say goodnight. He regretted not doing anything. He was sure she wanted him to kiss her, but he didn't want to do it like this, with doubts in his heart. That's why he talked to Kurama all night, explaining his situation. He was still shaken. He knew he had feelings for Ino, but he didn't know if she felt the same way about him. But Kurama made him see that Ino was indeed in love with him. Even Kurama, a beast that inhabited his mental landscape, was more perceptive than Naruto himself, who was supposed to be able to sense chakra. He hadn't noticed that Ino's chakra rose so much when she was with him. Perhaps unconsciously, she did it because of the excitement, so much energy emanating from her body, maybe simply from looking at him. "You know why, Naruto," Kurama said. Naruto was in shock and decided to think it over carefully. After all, in his world, time was relative. A second could feel like hours in reality, but he was determined to do it. He was going to start over, and this time he would do it right. Even if Ino rejected him, he had to do it. He had to find out if she liked him. After all, they were already married, she would receive his inheritance, and since the mission was about to end, he had to know what she thought of him and take the risk. This time, he would be the one to take control of the situation. He would be the one to confess, realizing he was afraid, but that was never a problem for him, because he knew that if he defeated him, if he overcame his insecurities, he could truly be happy. Naruto, INO, I like you a lot. INO was surprised, she never knew this was going to happen. She never imagined it. Naruto, I know all this is sudden, something I never would have expected to say unless it was true. I like you, INO. I know you probably have many suitors because of how beautiful you are, and especially because they'll give you what I might not be able to. But if you accept me, if you truly accept me, I'll make you the happiest woman in the world. INO was surprised by Naruto's confession. She knew something like this could happen, but she assumed it would only be on her end. That's why she avoided falling in love with Naruto. Sometimes she acted normal when he was around. But the truth was, her heart raced at Naruto's gaze, at his smile. She even felt that with just a touch, she could easily succumb to his desires. But the fact that he confessed to her, it only made her feel better than she had ever felt. INO, yes. Naruto, yes, wait, you're saying you accept me? INO smiled happily. INO, of course, silly, of course I accept you, did you doubt it? Naruto, yes. INO-chan. Naruto hugged INO. They were together now, this time the relationship was real. They were smiling, kissing a little to seal their love. Both were happy with what they did. They knew it was crazy, but they decided to risk it. Nothing else mattered. They were in a beautiful place where anything could happen, and surely no one would miss them for a while if they took another week. So they asked the Hokage for another week in a letter they sent, since it was only going to be a week of honeymoon, but seeing that they could stay longer and with the money they brought, they decided to take the risk. Tsunade sent another letter approving the request. The Hokage was still processing the paperwork and it would take longer, so having them there a little longer was a good thing. They continued strolling around the village. There was even a street theater where they were performing, inviting people to the evening show in the village's grand hall. INO and Naruto were holding hands, excited, so they went to the theater together. They were elegantly dressed, she wore a white dress, and he wore a blue suit and a gray shirt. The theater was very large, and they sat in the front rows, having paid a good price for their seats. As they watched the actors, after a few scenes, Naruto, enjoying the sight of his beautiful wife, glanced at her from time to time. He knew he should be paying attention to the performance, but INO's beauty had him mesmerized. INO noticed how Naruto occasionally looked at her, and it made her feel very attractive to him. She kept watching the theater scene, but every now and then she caught him looking at her, causing Naruto to quickly turn away. The boy's behavior made her laugh a little. The show ended, leaving the couple a little tired. They knew they had to go back to the hotel, but they noticed something. Apparently, there was someone important among them, the daimyo, or feudal lord. He was leaving with his wife when Naruto greeted the feudal lord with a bow, and INO did the same. The feudal lord was happy to see Naruto. He had heard that Naruto had gotten married but hadn't been able to attend the wedding because he had some business matters to attend to. Upon seeing him, he congratulated him on his decision to marry and especially on his new wife. Naruto introduced INO, who was surprised that Naruto knew the feudal lord. They talked about how they had known each other for a long time and how, since Naruto was a hero of Konoha, he couldn't possibly not know him. He introduced his wife, who greeted them, and they all decided to go to a restaurant. It was 9 o'clock, but they could still enjoy themselves a little while chatting that it wasn't too late yet and he wanted to stop thinking about his projects, which were stressing him out. The feudal lord invited them both, which they accepted. They were at a restaurant enjoying some desserts. Everyone had eaten early, but they decided to indulge in the delicious treats. They chatted and joked about some anecdotes Naruto had shared about his missions. The feudal lord's wife had participated in his travels with others, as had INO at the hospital. The feudal lord ended the evening discussing the projects that were stressing him out. It was a lovely evening, but the highlight was when the feudal lord told Naruto he wanted him to be Hokage. Naruto couldn't believe it. Was this true? The feudal lord nodded. Of course, he said, if Naruto accepts. I couldn't leave him in better hands. Naruto happily agreed. INO was proud of Naruto, his dream was finally coming true, and the best part was that she was the first to know. Naruto was so happy that he asked the feudal lord if he could prepare beforehand, explaining that he needed to know everything about being a Hokage. The lord agreed. The feudal lord nodded, I will speak with Lady Tsunade. Leaving the couple happy, he ended the evening by bidding them farewell and going to sleep. Naruto and INO returned to the hotel, tired, and decided to go to bed. They lay there, tenderly embracing each other. They knew they could have sex since they were married, but they didn't want to rush things. They had only recently become a couple and didn't want to ruin things. Although it might sound strange to everyone else, they were married, but for them, they were just a couple. I suppose things will sort themselves out soon, INO said, hugging Naruto, who hugged her back. They both fell asleep. At dawn, they woke up at the same time. It only took one of them to move to wake the other. INO, that's a nice way to wake up. Naruto, you read my mind, my love. INO squealed inwardly with excitement. INO, I'm your love. Your only love. You couldn't live without me. Naruto, I couldn't. That's why I'll hug you so you don't leave me. Naruto affectionately hugged INO while blushing. INO was happy. This relationship might be unusual, but she liked it. INO, you're so cute, she said, caressing his cheek, letting him know she liked it. INO gave him a kiss. He let himself be carried away by the moment, snuggling up to her and spending the whole morning like that, embraced and chatting about any silly thing. A few hours had passed, it was 10 a.m., so they went to a cafe, ordered something to eat, and then went out to see other places. Naruto wanted to teach her a jutsu, it was the boy's favorite, his trump card, the Rasengan. If he mastered this technique, he could face the ninjas in a better way. She usually fought alongside her friends Choji and Shikamaru, forming a coordinated team attack, but individually INO was in slightly more danger, and could even be seriously injured in the most perilous situations. Naruto showed her the steps using a balloon he'd bought, rotate the water inside the balloon and then pop it, use chakra to rotate the air, causing a solid rubber ball to pop, and maintain chakra inside an air-filled balloon without popping it. INO was very intelligent and knew he could master it in a month or less, so she taught him little by little. But after step 1, it took him a few days to master step 2. While they trained a little in the afternoons, just the technique, then they would go dancing and celebrating, talking about what they wanted. INO told him that she was still in the flower business and that she would suddenly be leaving the hospital since she missed it. She was honest with Naruto, telling him that Tsunade had offered her the position of hospital director or clan leader if she accepted. This annoyed Naruto, but he understood it as compensation if he accepted. Neither of them imagined they would fall in love, so he let go of the new girl and instead gave her an understanding look. They were sure that later they could improve their relationship. Happy, they went to sleep. A week of parties and other things had passed, and in the week that remained, they should do something more. The scenery was beautiful when INO decided to take the next step, finish step 2 of the Rasengan. She managed to complete it, which made Naruto smile at his girlfriend's progress. They continued the days past and they went to see the clubs. They met some people who were known as famous actors and politicians. They knew Naruto and some asked for autographs, just as INO and Naruto asked their favorite actors. INO and Naruto were on the 3rd stage of the Rasengan. They only had 2 days left to finish, but he couldn't complete it. They weren't worried, though, they'd have plenty of time to practice later. They both smiled. Where they were training was an open field, with the trees as their accomplices. They were sweating, and it was already night. They were walking when Naruto fell into a hole. It seemed to be a cavern illuminated by blue crystals, the same ones that resembled the cave they had visited on a hike. But as he fell, he realized he had landed in a lake with warm water. INO got out and saw Naruto. They both had the same idea, to bathe together. Both naked and blushing, they stood in the center of the lake, breathing heavily. They let themselves go, looking into each other's eyes. INO moved closer to Naruto's chest. They were close to each other, taking INO's hand on his chest and gently squeezing it. He leaned in and took her lips. He was sure this night would be unique. As they continued kissing, they caressed each other slowly, feeling their breaths quicken. Caressing her cheek, Naruto continued to lower his hand to INO's chest, who moaned at the way he touched that area, while his lips kissed her neck. The intensity gradually increased until they decided to go to a place on the ground where Naruto's clothes served as a bed for him to lie down while INO positioned herself on top of him, gently moving in. She moaned with the speed of her movements. Naruto lifted himself slightly, facing her, and kissed her. He was aroused by INO's skin, her beauty, the way he saw her was unique, and they continued like this all night. Naruto and INO left the cave. It was very late. The stalls were closed, and although the hotels were still lit, only the entrances were illuminated. They both entered happily, laughing. While the person behind the counter was surprised by Naruto's dirty clothes, Naruto simply said it was nothing, to which the young man agreed, letting the two of them go to their room and allowing himself to be carried away by the moment once again, something INO appreciated, saying in a teasing tone, "Can you still go on?" which made Naruto smile. The 2 days they had left had already passed. They were both happy but sad. The place was a paradise. Would it end now? Naruto shook his head. "This is just the beginning," he whispered, making INO feel calmer. She thought it was the atmosphere that made them act that way, but it seemed it wasn't entirely due to the atmosphere. Everything they did was their own decision. In the middle of the night, lying in bed, embraced, Naruto approached INO and said softly, "I love you, INO-chan." INO smiled at what he said. "I love you too, Naruto-kun," she replied, sealing their words with a kiss. End of chapter 12, back in Konoha. INO and Naruto were arriving through the gates of Konoha. After greeting those guarding the entrance, they walked towards the Hokage's office. They had to give him news about what they did on their honeymoon, and especially the surprise that they were now together. People smiled and waved to them as they walked. It felt strange to be the center of attention now. They thought their wedding might have been forgotten since 2 weeks had passed, but that wasn't the case. Apparently, they were always talking about it, so being away, they never knew the full extent of the news. Upon arriving at the office, they greeted Hokage Lady Tsunade, who was stressed about the paperwork for the Genin's missions. The newly graduated Genin had entered holding hands, but she greeted them with surprise. They didn't notice, acting as if it were perfectly normal. "Tsunade, it's good that you're taking your roles seriously. I'm glad you didn't arouse suspicion." "INO, well, Lady Tsunade, there's something Naruto and I have to tell you, Tsunade." "Tsunade, oh." "Naruto, yes, Grandma, INO and I are together." "Tsunade, yes, I know that, Naruto. I know you're together. You don't have to tell me again." "INO, no, Lady Tsunade, what Naruto meant is that we're together, like, we're a real couple. We're in love." "Tsunade, what? Wait, how did it happen?" "Naruto, well, a lot of things happened, and I asked her if we could be boyfriend and girlfriend, or how do you do it? It's confusing since we're married." INO nodded at the boy's explanation. "Tsunade, this is incredible. I never thought you two could be together. I mean, with Naruto being so dense, I thought he wouldn't dare ask a girl out." "Naruto, hey, what do you mean, Grandma Tsunade? Tsunade, speak to me with more respect, you brat." "INO, Lady Tsunade, tell me, do you think it would be a problem for Naruto and me to be together for the mission?" "Tsunade, well, I don't think so, but are you sure you want to be in a relationship? You know that several things are at stake, and we're at a point where the mission's success could be at its peak. It's almost over." "INO and Naruto, of course." Tsunade, well, congratulations, you too. You've really surprised me. I hope everything goes well, and if it does, it will be easier to achieve everything we set out to do. INO and Naruto, thank you. Naruto, there's something I wanted to talk about. Since we're married, shouldn't we live in an apartment or something? Mine is very small, and I wanted to know if. Tsunade, don't worry, Naruto. I was just about to tell you that a mansion has been prepared for you on your family's land where the Uzumaki village will be. You can move in. I've taken care of the paperwork for the construction, and you can move there now. Naruto and INO, what? Naruto, I have a mansion. Tsunade, you can stay and live there, so what are you waiting for? Go pack your things and move in. It's something you have to do now. And don't worry, we'll sort out your surname tomorrow. It'll be in front of all the citizens, so it'll be a very nice ceremony. Oh, and I already heard about your conversation with the feudal lord. He summoned the entire council to nominate you as the future Hokage. Congratulations on that. Naruto, yes. Thank you. Now I'll be one step closer to achieving my dream. INO, congratulations, Naruto. Tsunade, of course, until you pass the exam. Naruto, what did she mean? Tsunade, well, you're going to study as much as you can to be a good Hokage, so you'll need to immerse yourself in all the village's knowledge, especially its laws. So, I wish you luck, and I'll help you with the practical side, but I can't help you with the theory since I'm busy, but I might send someone to help you. Naruto, perfect, you'll see that if I manage to pass, I won't give up until I achieve my dream. INO smiled at Naruto. Tsunade, INO, since we're talking about both of our futures, tell me, have you thought about being the director of the hospital? Naruto was surprised by this. INO, me, director of the hospital, but Lady Tsunade and Sakura. Tsunade, well, I could be your second in command, but I really need the help. INO, I don't know what to say. Naruto, come on, INO-chan, it's a great opportunity. I'm sure Sakura won't mind. INO, you think so? Tsunade, well, there's another option too. Naruto, another option. Tsunade, that's right, Naruto. I'd like to see how INO can become the leader of the Yamanaka clan. INO, really, Lady Tsunade? Tsunade, of course. I've seen how much you've matured in the hospital, INO, and I see how hard you're working. It's only right that you return to your rightful position. INO, I think you're right. It's been a while since I stopped thinking about why I didn't accept the position when it was offered, but I guess I wasn't completely ready or didn't feel emotionally prepared, but I think I'll accept that option. Tsunade, that's fine, but while I look into that matter, accept my proposal to be the director. After I've looked into the case of who will be the leader, I'll let you know. INO, okay, but talk to Sakura first. Tsunade, I agree with that. Naruto, congratulations, INO-chan. INO, thank you, Naruto-kun. I just hope Sakura doesn't take it too badly, at least until it's resolved who will be the leader of the Yamanaka clan. Naruto, that's right, I met Ibuki at the wedding, and he asked me to help him with providing food to the neediest villages. INO, he was at the wedding. Tsunade, I see he already offered you that deal. He offered it to me too, in fact, to most of the clans except the Hyuga, but I didn't think he'd say that to you. You know, I'd tell you not to accept. I don't know, it's a strange matter. Besides, I don't want you to get scammed because Ibuki isn't trustworthy. He has very strange dealings with other merchants. INO, and he's the leader of my clan. I hope he's not involved in anything shady. I'd hate to think I'd let someone like that take my father's place. Tsunade, if you want to wage war against him, there wouldn't be a problem. INO, what does he mean? Tsunade, it's possible that most of the clans will approve of removing him. Nobody likes that guy, and will very likely see what he's capable of. I have my suspicions, but nothing will be confirmed until after some of my ninjas have news. But for now, you have to act like nothing's wrong with him, okay? Naruto and INO, okay. Tsunade, we'll talk later. Naruto, but is Ibuki really that strong? Because I didn't see anything impressive about him. Tsunade, he's not the strongest ninja. You could easily destroy him, but as long as he has the political power of the Yamanaka clan, he can make moves that affect us. Anyway, I want to make it clear that you shouldn't make him suspicious or anything like what I've told you, especially you, INO, since you have some connection to the clan's power. As long as you exist, you have the possibility of ruining his plans, so be careful. INO, wow, I didn't think this problem would be so serious. Tsunade, that's why I want you to be director. With that position, you could go unnoticed, because he'll surely think that with such a high position and always working towards it, Ibuki will assume your issue is only with the hospital. INO, something like that to throw him off. Tsunade, that's right. Naruto, don't worry, INO-chan, if anything happens, I'll protect you. INO, thank you, Naruto-kun. Tsunade, very well, now you may leave. I'll keep you informed if I receive any new information. Naruto and INO, yes. In the solitary Yamanaka clan office, Ibuki sits looking at the papers scattered on the desks. The latest information was that most of the rogue ninja were appearing very close to Konoha. They were becoming increasingly visible, which posed a problem. Ibuki, is this a joke? Why are those idiots appearing so close? Ibuki called Daisuke, one of the clan's ninjas. They were discussing how the ninjas were getting closer. Daisuke replied that the ninjas relax the closer they get to Konoha. Although it sounds ridiculous, the reason is the presence of Naruto Uzumaki. They know that if something bad happens, it's usually Naruto who rushes in at full speed. There was a time when the rogue ninjas called him the last shadow, since he was the last thing the ninjas saw before falling to him. He truly is someone to be feared. Ibuki, Naruto Uzumaki, huh? Daisuke, maybe many don't know, but he was an ANBU for a while, it's just that nobody found out. Ibuki, if you knew, why didn't you tell me? Daisuke, it's classified information. I found out when he left ANBU. Ibuki, damn, it's quite a problem. Is there any way to get rid of Naruto? Daisuke, well, we haven't seen what we can do yet. Meanwhile, the ninjas will continue, but this time far from Konoha. Of course, they need your leadership. It's been a long time since you've been there. Ibuki, yes, of course. I suppose we still have time. Now I have to arrange deals with Iwagakure and the orders they place. They pay well, and although most of them probably have their own way of making their weapons, most of the minerals and resources are running out. The best thing is to trade, and let's face it, Konoha has the best tools and very good terrain. It won't be long before most of them realize this and want to accept deals with me. Daisuke, seriously, sometimes I wonder what kind of person you are. Sometimes you can being so cruel and other times like a little boy. Ibuki, it's my magic, soon I'll take over this place and you'll see that I'll soon become Hokage. Daisuke, at least you're decisive. And what will happen to Naruto? Ibuki, I'll take care of him. Besides, maybe I have an ace up my sleeve. Do you know about Kyubi pills? Sakura was going through all the corridors looking for a nurse who was pregnant. She was unwell, so she left her in a waiting chair to attend to her, but she couldn't find her anywhere. Apparently, she had run away, so she decided to look for her. She found her walking with difficulty, she was unwell. So she took her by the shoulders to help her walk. She begged her to come back, but she said no. No one knew she was pregnant, not even her friends or colleagues at the hospital. She wanted to keep it a secret because the partner she was with was neglectful. He didn't pay attention to her and would leave for days at a time without her knowing anything. Telling him or his family she was pregnant would be a shame, she wasn't ready to face them with the news yet. Sakura listened to the girl. Her story was very sad, especially because the child was involved, but she decided to convince her to come back and assured her that if she wanted, she wouldn't tell anyone if she got medical attention. The girl was hesitant, not wanting her secret to be revealed. Looking at Sakura, she doubted whether she could keep that promise. A voice told her to trust her. They both visualized the figure who spoke those words. Sai was entering the hospital, looking at the patients, searching for someone with pink hair. As he went to greet them, he saw Sakura with the nurse. He was sure something was wrong, judging by the situation, so when he approached, he listened to their conversation. Being a former ANBU, stealth was second nature to him, so they didn't notice him. Sakura is a great medical ninja, and a great person too. As a woman, she can understand your situation, and she's trustworthy when it comes to secrets. She's my friend for a reason. Smiling, the nurse was confused by the boy's words, while a drop of sweat fell from Sakura's brow. Besides, she and I are both ANBU, so secrets are our specialty. The nurse saw the boy pull out an ANBU mask, which was strange since most kept it hidden, but it confirmed that he really was one. So, she trusted his words and accepted Sakura's help. Sakura smiled at Sai's gesture. She knew he had to lie about being ANBU, so she would accept his request. Sakura, come on, let's go. Sai, I'll help you. Sai picked up the girl while Sakura brought a wheelchair. As they were walking, Sakura made sure to say she was exhausted from lack of sleep. Sai accompanied Sakura and the girl to a certain point, where he decided to wait for Sakura outside her office while Sakura took the nurse in the wheelchair to her office where she examined her and began prescribing something for the dizziness. Her specialty wasn't maternity, but she had some knowledge of it, so she told her she had a friend who could help her with her pregnancy and that if she wanted to talk, she should find someone she trusted, since those are the people who usually change her perspective, reminding her of Naruto. After talking a little more with the nurse, she felt better and decided to leave, leaving Sakura behind. Worried, there was a knock at the door, and Sakura let Sai in. The boy entered and began chatting with the pink-haired girl, managing to calm her down. Sakura was happy that Sai was there. It had become a daily occurrence for him to appear during the 2 weeks in which he had been a great help to her in her saddest moments. She was sure that if it weren't for Sai, she would go crazy. Sai decided to talk a little more about his day while Sakura listened attentively. They laughed a little. Sometimes the boy could surprise Sakura with his personality, as he could be funny. They decided to go to a restaurant later and left everything for the evening. Naruto was packing his things in his room. It was strange not to see his teammates, but most of them had gone on missions. He was sure that when they were free and heard the news that he had returned, they would be going crazy asking him how his trip went and things like that. INO went home to greet her mother, so she would wait a little while to pack her things. However, they would see each other that night. At the mansion, he was excited that they could finally be alone, so he eagerly prepared everything. With incredible speed, he appeared at the mansion in a matter of seconds. His father's jutsu was very useful at that very moment. Learning it had taken him a long time, but after the Fourth Shinobi World War, he did the unthinkable. He knew that jutsu was hidden, so he asked old Tsunade to do him that favor, which she accepted. For all his contributions to the war, at least he had that after being a hero of Konoha. It was very dark. Sakura was still hopeful about Sasuke. The council hadn't chosen him as a candidate for Hokage yet. She learned from fellow ninjas that he didn't want it. The idea of him becoming Hokage posed a risk to them, most of them fearful that Naruto would uncover all the dirty secrets of ninja politics. Given this, he had hoped that if he earned it more, he might succeed, but it wasn't to be. He had already given up on his greatest dream when he was assigned to the ANBU to keep him away from them. The civil council, of course, would have to keep an eye on him, but Naruto was very clever, and sometimes, as a form of protest, he would leave Konoha for other villages, leaving the civil council members, who had held considerable power at the time, dismayed. Now, with someone's help, they had managed to maintain their position. Knowing who was supporting them was a mystery, but it still worried him. He still knew of opponents. He decided to put all that aside for later, since he had convinced the feudal lord to let him become Hokage, so the surprise would be immense for all those who hadn't believed in him. Naruto began unpacking everything and continued until darkness began to cover the skies. It was already night and Ino was knocking on the door. The girl's face showed surprise. The mansion was very large, with 2 floors, and above all, beautiful. Upon entering, she saw Naruto open the door. He smiled at her, and they kissed briefly. They were like that when Naruto let the girl go ahead to do the tour. This caught Ino's attention because he unpacked everything so quickly, but she decided not to dwell on it. With Naruto, the impossible becomes possible, and that was something she really liked. Ino and Naruto sat in the garden looking at the moon. They were comfortable, embracing while Naruto thought about something. The girl noticed this and, showing concern, told him his story, more specifically, how he had been an ANBU. Ino was surprised that Naruto was an ANBU, she hadn't expected him to hold that position. Although most of the time he was a sincere guy, she assumed that if he had this news, he would tell someone. Naruto continued, you know, Ino, when I was an ANBU, I realized that the council wanted me far away from political matters, so they tried to control me or keep an eye on me. That's why I would escape from them to other places to get away from them for a while. Ino, if many of them were upset, Lady Tsunade even had doubts about whether she would have made you make that decision. Naruto, yeah, I guess so. At least she was clear in telling me that I could choose to stay, although if I wanted to leave, I couldn't stand being just another pawn of theirs anymore, someone they could use. Leaving Konoha didn't seem right to me, but I always had the desire to do it, that's probably why they wanted to marry me off. Ino, yes, that's true, to tie you to Konoha, which is really sad since in the end they got their way. Naruto, I don't regret it, Ino. I want you to know that I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Ino, Naruto, are you sure? It's not too late to change your mind. I could. Naruto, don't even think about it. You gave me a new dream, and I think we can do something to fix all these problems, so I ask you to always trust me. Ino, of course, my love. Naruto smiled, and they kissed again until Ino's stomach started to rumble. Ino, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything. Embarrassed, Naruto, come on, let's go eat somewhere. Ino, it won't be a Chiraku ramen, will it? Because I have a new place I want us to go. Naruto, okay. As they left, they couldn't hide their surprise. When they arrived at the restaurant, Sai and Sakura were standing in the waiting room, watching them arrive, face to face that he assumed that if he had that news, he would tell someone. Naruto continued speaking, you know, Ino, when I was an ANBU, I realized that the council wanted me far away from political matters, so they tried to control me or keep an eye on me. That's why I would escape from them to other places to get away from them for a while. Ino, yes, many of them were upset. Lady Tsunade even had doubts about what would have made you make that decision. Naruto, yes, I suppose so. At least she made it clear that I could choose to stay, although if I wanted to leave, I couldn't stand being just another pawn of theirs anymore, someone they could use. Leaving Konoha didn't seem right to me, but I always had the desire to do it. That's probably why they wanted to marry me off. Ino, yes, that's true, to tie you to Konoha, which is really sad since in the end they got their way. Naruto, I don't regret it, Ino. I want you to know that I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Ino, Naruto, are you sure? It's not too late to change your mind. I could. Naruto, don't even think about it. You gave me a new dream, and I think we can do something to fix all these problems, so I ask you to always trust me. Ino, of course, my love. Naruto smiled, and they kissed again until Ino's stomach started to rumble. Ino, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything. Embarrassed, Naruto, come on, let's go eat somewhere. Ino, it won't be a Chiraku ramen, will it? Because I have a new place I want us to go. Naruto, okay. As they left, they couldn't hide their surprise. When they arrived at the restaurant, Sai and Sakura were standing in the waiting room, watching them arrive, face to face that he assumed that if he had that news, he would tell someone. Naruto continued speaking, you know, INO, when I was in ANBU, I realized that the council wanted me far away from political matters, so they tried to control me or keep an eye on me. That's why I would escape from them to other places to get away from them for a while. INO, yes, many of them were upset. Lady Tsunade even had doubts about what would have made you make that decision. Naruto, yes, I suppose so. At least she made it clear that I could choose to stay, although if I wanted to leave, I couldn't stand being just another pawn of theirs anymore, someone they could use. Leaving Konoha didn't seem right to me, but I always had the desire to do it. That's probably why they wanted to marry me off. INO, yes, that's true, to tie you to Konoha, which is really sad since in the end they got their way. Naruto, I don't regret it, INO. I want you to know that I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. INO, Naruto, are you sure? It's not too late to change your mind. I could. Naruto, don't even think about it. You gave me a new dream, and I think we can do something to fix all these problems, so I ask you to always trust me. INO, of course, my love. Naruto smiled, and they kissed again until INO's stomach started to rumble. INO, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything. Embarrassed, Naruto, come on, let's go eat somewhere. INO, it won't be a Chiraku ramen, will it? Because I have a new place I want us to go. Naruto, okay. As they left, they couldn't hide their surprise. When they arrived at the restaurant, Sai and Sakura were standing in the waiting room, watching them arrive, face to face. That I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything, embarrassed. Naruto, come on, let's go eat somewhere. INO, it won't be a Chiraku ramen, will it? Because I have a new place I want us to go. Naruto, okay. As they left, they couldn't hide their surprise, because when they arrived at the restaurant, in front of them in the waiting room, were Sai and Sakura watching them arrive, both facing each other. I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything, embarrassed. Naruto, come on, let's go eat somewhere. INO, it won't be a Chiraku ramen, will it? Because I have a new place I want us to go. Naruto, okay. As they left, they couldn't hide their surprise, because when they arrived at the restaurant, in front of them in the waiting room, were Sai and Sakura watching them arrive, both facing each other.